Yo, 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 what is going on, my fellow wrestling fans? Welcome to a brand new week and welcome to a brand new edition of what we like to call the Clash of Champions, where we get into the different personalities, storylines, controversies, and everything in between, for better or worse, that centers around this world we know and love as professional wrestling. I am your host, the vegan you believe in, Conscious Kurt, aka the Professor in the flesh as always. And my co-host needs no introduction, but the hell with it. He's about to give y'all one anyway.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, wrestling fans? Is tag team partner Jonathan Randall, the Adventurer himself, and it's been a while since we graced you guys with our presence. I was a little sick this past week, but I'm feeling better. It's today is opening day for us, for you baseball fans, and I'm excited. It should make it a holiday, but we are still in the middle of the holiday right now in the wrestling world because we're still on the road to WrestleMania, headed to Las Vegas, and you know it's kind of not getting the appropriate praise from our fans, as far as the buildup.
Yeah, it's kind of been a little up and down, but we'll get into that in a few minutes. But speaking of our show Clash of Champions, it's very funny. Today is a very special anniversary. Today is the 37-year anniversary of the very first Clash of Champions special that was produced by NWA back in 1988, which went on opposite WrestleMania 4. And that show is mainly remembered for the coming out party of Sting, as him and Ric Flair went to a 45-minute draw, and that was the match that pretty much put Sting on the map.
Hmm. Oh, that's really good. Speaking, that's funny you mentioned about anniversaries because today, I mean, it is our special back in time segment episode. As this is the right time to do it, and we'll be going back to March 29th, 2015, because we'll be recapping WrestleMania 31, and in a couple of days, by the time this episode is released, ladies and gentlemen, it will be the 10-year anniversary. Crazy, it's been 10 years already, though, but we'll get into that later. But first, we have been gone for a week, and a lot has been going on the past couple of weeks in the wrestling world with our build up to WrestleMania.
Yes, and the main thing that's kind of been going on is the John Cena heel turn. And since we last spoke to you guys, John Cena made his very first appearance in front of fans, which happened last week in Belgium. And damn, it felt like 2006 all over again because John
Literally,
Cena came back into that crowd through the arena to a horde of boos. And
literally.
yeah, he did not have one fan in that entire place. But from what he said in that promo and everything that he got off his chest, did not seem like he gave a shit.
No, he didn't. He pretty much was like, what do you thought about me? What about me? What about my needs? Pretty much, he's pretty much saying how or everything he's given, for the fans for this business for the past 25 years. It's like, well, what do you thought about me? Was pretty much where he was coming off from in that segment. We were hoping that prior to this his heel promo, we were hoping that we were going to get a different attire from him, even more importantly, a new theme song, but we didn't.
Yep, he basically said you guys were expecting that, so guess what? You're not gonna get it. You get nothing. A bunch of ungrateful assholes. He talked about how like it's been a toxic relationship between him and the fans for the last 25 years, and they've always treated him poorly. They've always been shitty to him. So now he's breaking up with them. He's dumping their asses. It's a wrap. It's finished. He's dumping them just like Miles dumped Terry and Soul Food when he hooked up with the cousin and cousin Faith and all that shit. That's what John Cena did to these damn fans.
But what do you thought about the segment, though? What do you thought about the promo?
The segment was good. The promo was good. It was basically what you would expect to hear him say after like all the years. The fans kind of like gave him a mixed reaction and chanted Cena sucks and you're a loser like the night after WrestleMania 28. So yeah, it's probably stuff he probably wanted to say like when he was going to do that initial heel turn in 2012 that got nixed. So now he got the chance to say it now. And it was good and all, but then Cody Rhodes came out a few minutes later to interrupt. And before Cena could say anything to him, Cody cut him off and said, "It's not Kid, it's Cody Rhodes, WWE champion. And if this John Cena shows up to WrestleMania, I'm going to put him in retirement early. And I hope you find the real John Cena between." Then and now, as opposed to this whiny bitch. And
Yeah,
the way.
literally cooked him. We've seen a lot of John Cena promos, and he's usually known for getting the last say in his promos. But this time, it was a bit different. It was really different because Cody Rhodes was the one who got the last word.
Yeah, Cena didn't say anything. I was really expecting a back and forth, or even
Yeah,
for them to fight each other because Cena beat the hell out of Cody Rhodes at Elimination Chamber. He kicked him in the
exactly.
balls, hit him with the Rolex, the championship belt, and Cody just came out and was like all mellow and calm. He must have smoked some good ass weed over there in Belgium if he came out there so calm, considering that Cena did all that stuff to him. But
I mean, he did come off calm though, but at the same time, he said what he needed to say off his chest. You know what I mean? What he said was the right thing to say. He's pretty much like, look, if you're not going to get whatever John Cena I'm getting, if I'm getting this type of person, this is not the one that I want.
yeah, it was fine for what it was, but what was not so fine was the backup following segment we got this past Monday on Raw from Glasgow, Scotland. Cena
Mm.
got the same reaction, the same like quart of booze reaction from the audience. And he went on about the fact that the fans rejected the spinner belt when he debuted it 20 years ago. And
Funny
then,
that he mentioned that. He
yeah, it
pretty much,
was.
yeah,
And then he tied that into the fact that now it's his mission to ruin wrestling for the audience. And the way he's going to go about ruining wrestling is by retiring as WWE champion.
pretty much. And we went into that promo because look, we didn't get anything about him chasing the title in his first segment. We got that in the second segment this time.
And
But
not even that, not even the fact that he didn't mention the title in the first segment. But one thing he never mentioned in either segment was
is what
Cody. It's Cody.
right, right. You are right about that.
He's focusing on the fans.
Yeah, pretty much on the fans. And are they gonna have like another face off with each other next week?
Yeah, because Monday on Raw in London is supposed to be Cena's last advertised appearance until WrestleMania.
Yeah, man. I heard about that, and that's a bit weird, man. Like you're going to WrestleMania, right? So next next week will be what, the 31st, right?
My birthday, yes, it will be.
Yeah. And then after that, you have like about what, 2 weeks away until
3 weeks.
WrestleMania.
Three
Yeah,
weeks.
3 weeks. That's a bit odd that you're not going to be on TV, around that time. I don't
Well,
know, man.
there's still a chance he can maybe show up at one of those Raws, possibly the go home Raw before WrestleMania. But
Hmm.
in this segment, Cody came out once again to confront Cena, and he like unbuttoned his shirt, he unbuttoned his tie, and all that, and then he laid the WWE title in the middle of the ring and told John Cena straight up, "Come and take it." And you know what John Cena did?
Walked away.
Like a deadbeat dad. Yes, John Cena walked away, but
Yeah.
as he was walking away, Cody told him straight up, the way you're leaving now is the same way you're going to leave at WrestleMania, empty handed.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of not getting a whole lot from this buildup. I don't know. Maybe we'll see something more next week, but I'm not getting enough spice in this feud going on right now, if I'm being honest.
Well, for one, in Cena's promos, he hasn't mentioned Cody.
Right.
Another issue was the fact that after Cena pulled off the heel turn, you didn't see him for over 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Three, another important issue that's kind of weird that they haven't brought up is The Rock. The Rock
Yeah.
hasn't been brought up and spoken about at all since Cena's come back. And yeah, just like the first segment last week was fine, like it was a nice introduction. But then for this week to kind of be more of the same and like a repetitive part of what last week was, yeah, it was a bit of a letdown. So unless they spice it up this coming Monday on Raw, considering that it's Cena's last advertised appearance until WrestleMania, then yeah, this build from the last month or so has been pretty much a dud.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not really getting much, and we're not really getting. Also, kind of not to me. I didn't really get the like the reasoning why Xena did what he did. Like what I did it for The Rock or stuff like that. I don't know. I'm just not getting enough from this feud. Um, there's been other build-ups for WrestleMania. It's been pretty much been pretty good, which we'll get into later. But I don't know, man. We got to wait until we see what they're going to do next week. But right now, um, I don't want to see the same repetitive stuff, especially on John Cena's case, especially with the rumors saying how this is going to be his last appearance before Mania, which is not a good thing.
Yeah, they need to do like a back and forth, like take shots at each other. Like, Cena could
Yeah.
bring up the fact that, yo, you're just a copy of me, you're a copy of what I did 10 years ago. And then Cody could rebound and say, nah, the people actually like me. They just rejected you because you were weird and they could tell you were a puppet, but they actually like me as opposed to you. So, yeah, they haven't been doing any of that in this whole build. And that's kind of been a disappointment.
Yeah.
So, unless they do that this Monday on Raw, then this build and storyline has every right to be criticized.
Hmm. It's not looking good for WrestleMania, if I'm being quite honest. I mean, as far as the ticket sales and then, somewhat of the build up, I don't know, man. I think the only applause that I'll give Mania right now is for the stuff that they're doing around the city, for this up for the weekend when they get here. The Hall of Fame ceremony being at the Fontainebleau, WWE World coming back at the convention center. You have, Raw, SmackDown, NXT Stand and Deliver, in town as well. And also, I just found out the other day that Living Color, the rock band that performs CM Punk's theme song, will be performing at downtown Fremont on Friday,
Yes. Well, they were
April
actually
18th.
well. That song was popular in the '80s before CM Punk was even a wrestler. But
I know though, but still though, you get my grift though. But they'll be performing at Fremont. As far as my Vegas locals, just like myself, they will be performing at downtown Fremont, April 18th.
maybe CM Punk will make a cameo.
Let's just hope they perform at WrestleMania as well.
That'd be great because I got to see them perform at WrestleMania 29 when I was there,
Yeah.
and that performance and that match were the only highlight of that whole show. Yeah, but it's crazy. Like, not even just the Cena and Cody Rhodes build has been getting a lot of criticism. Even the women's triple threat between Bianca, Rhea, and Io has kind of been weird the last 2 weeks.
It's you know what, man? If there's one word I want to describe that whole feud between those three, man, it's toxic. It is
Very.
completely just like weird and just like okay.
Although Bianca Belair's outfits have been a major highlight of them.
I don't know what's worse. I mean, because past couple of days, it's been a lot of backlash because the reaction that Bianca Belair got from the Scotland crowd this past Monday about how she was getting booed, and a lot of black wrestling fans pretty much took their frustrations out on social media, saying that that's not right, that's not fair. Look, I'm going to point this out. It's really not it's not a big deal. You got to remember that wrestling fans have a right to boo and cheer whoever they want.
And chances are they're not booing her because she's black. They're probably booing her because they like Io Sky and possibly Rhea Ripley more. And for the fact that I'm not going to lie, in the last couple of segments with Bianca, she's been coming off a little heelish.
True though,
Like, if
and
you listen to her
also
tone of voice, yeah, she
that's,
kind of comes off that way.
yeah, and this is a bit weird why you guys are complaining about that, and you shouldn't, because like if you think that's bad, imagine if she does lose at WrestleMania, then they're really gonna have a whole mouthful to say. But when you look at this feud, Kurt, the way I look at it, I kind of feel bad for EL Sky because she is being pretty much disrespected ever since she's been a champion. She's kind of like look like she's being tossed to the third wheel. It's like Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair are pretty much getting into it, and then when EL Sky wants to step in, they pretty much shove her off to the side, and that's kind of like, whoa, that's disrespectful. I'm the champ.
Yeah, and it's
It's my
crazy
respect. You
for
know,
how popular Bianca and Rhea Ripley are. Io Sky has pretty much been the babyface in this whole feud, especially if you judge it by the crowd reaction.
and the third wheel.
Yeah, that's true also, but just in general, you could like definitely tell like from the segments they've been having recently that the fans are more behind Io Sky than either Bianca or
I don't
Rhea.
blame them. I mean, I
And
would
who
too,
thought
though.
and whoever thought that would have been a thing like 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah. I mean, because like we were pretty much just talking about, hey, just Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, and then all of a sudden, the whole situation, with Rhea, costing EO Sky the match, the qualifying match, and then Rhea decided, hey, look, I'll give you a title shot, and then out of nowhere, EO Sky wins, which you know that surprised all of us, and now guess what? All three of them are in the mix now, which I'm okay with, but it's just that's why moving forward. That's why, like, to me, I think Io Sky needs to win this match.
Well, I'll get into that in a second, but it's kind of really spiced up really the last week or so since we last spoke to you guys, where Io and Bianca were having the contract signing for the match. And then after they both signed the contract, Rhea comes out and then she power bombs Bianca on top of Io on the table. I'm sorry, no, that's not what happened. I'm sorry. Rhea comes out, she gets into Bianca's face again, and then Bianca pie faced Io, and then Bianca gets headbutt by Rhea, and then Io Sky gets powerbombed onto Bianca on the table, and then Rhea signs the contract herself. And
Sim-
if this had been like WrestleMania 20 when Shawn signed the contract before Chris
yeah.
Benoit did, that would have
Mhm.
been one thing. But yo, they already signed the contract. Like that shit's not
Yeah,
done.
that was weird. And then Adam Pierce was kind of like, "Well, I can't do anything about it." Well, of course, you can't do anything about it because both signatures has been on there already.
Yeah, and then it escalated this past Monday on Raw when Adam Pierce was talking about how the signature's not valid, but Rhea Ripley's entitled to a rematch. And then Io came out talking about how she'll take on both of them. Then Bianca came out and talked about how Rhea didn't earn it, so she doesn't deserve it. And then Rhea came out, got into Bianca's face, and then Rhea pie faced Io again. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, like Adam Pierce had to hold her back. And then Adam Pierce said straight up, now it's going to be this coming Monday on Raw. Io and Rhea in a rematch for the championship. And that led to a big brawl between the three of them that ultimately Bianca got the better of when she KO'd Io on top of Rhea outside the ring, which is actually dope. And then backstage, she barged into Adam Pierce's office, like complaining about who she's going to face at WrestleMania, even though Adam Pierce just made a match to decide who she's going to face a few minutes ago. And then Adam Pierce, tired of all this shit, basically said, now in this match, you're going to be the guest referee.
Oh my God. Problems, problems, problems.
And then Bianca's like, I don't have any referee experience. I've never been a referee before.
What? Majority of the wrestlers who do become referees in a special match don't have any experience. This is completely chaotic.
That's what I
Completely.
mean. Like, that's what I mean. The way Bianca's coming off in some of these segments, yeah, she comes off a little
Yeah.
heelish.
Like I said, man, to our black wrestling fans, stop complaining about, oh, because of the fact that she's getting booed, and then make a comment saying because, oh, Europe is racist because they're booing her. That's a bit silly.
That has nothing to do
It's
with it.
it's
I
a
mean, look,
stretch.
I'm not going to say that there aren't fans who probably did boo her because of that. That's very possible. But to think that the majority of them booed her just because she's black is ridiculous.
It's a stretch.
Yeah, it's a huge, gigantic stretch.
Like, come on. It is not that serious. Like, if you're gonna take that argument, guess what? Jay Cargill got cheered on SmackDown while they're in Europe.
Yeah, in Italy. Yeah.
Italy, yeah. So
Yeah,
again,
and
there's
Jade Cargill suffered her first pinfall loss in WWE at the hands of Liv Morgan due to Naomi's interference. And Naomi let her have it, like I said, she needed to get, you know, even with Jade after what
heat,
she's done recently. Yeah, and she came out with a
heel
new, like,
heat.
Owen Hart. She came out with, like, this new Owen Hart type outfit with all the danger signs and everything all over her. And then she
Mm,
knocked Jade Cargill off the table, off the apron onto the announce table, kind of mirroring what most likely she did to Jade when she put her out a few months ago. So yeah, even though it's not official, I know we are definitely getting this match at WrestleMania.
yep.
But as far as that triple threat goes with Io, Bianca, and Rhea, I'm starting to think that Naomi and Jade situation is probably going to play into that match also, and somehow, some way, Bianca is going to win the title back.
That would be so weird if Io loses it, man, because like you just got the title
I know,
and
but
and the
I know, but
feud,
I
and
think
it's like you're just kind of like being shoved to the corner like that, man, and no respect, and you lose it. That would be weird. That would be kind of, I don't know, man. Have to wait and
um,
see. I like what you're saying, but it's like, man, I feel bad for Io in this situation.
because Bianca's undefeated at WrestleMania, so that's a part of the reason why I'm thinking she's not going to lose here. And I'm
Mm,
also starting to feel that she's probably more than likely going to turn heel.
yeah.
It's kind of going in that direction, and who knows? Maybe Naomi might help her win, and they might be heels together.
Mm,
Anything is possible, man. That's one thing I've learned
Yeah,
about this build. Anything is possible. And
true.
yeah, another match we had made official for WrestleMania this past Friday on SmackDown, although it's weird because there's no stipulation or prize on the line, is the triple threat between CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins.
I'm sorry you kind of cut off.
Yes, and another match that we had made official for WrestleMania this past Friday on SmackDown, although there's no real prize for it at the moment, is CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins in a triple threat match.
Yeah, and they pretty much well, it was Roman Reigns Day apparently on SmackDown this past Friday in Italy, and pretty much saying, "Hey, um, CM Punk cost me the Royal Rumble, so I cost him his match in a steel cage match at Madison Square Garden. Seth Rollins tried to kill me, so guess what? I try to do the same thing to him. Anybody got a problem with the tribal chief? Come confront me. Come let me know." And then Seth Rollins comes out and pretty much saying like, "Hey, I almost got the job done. You made a big mistake, and we have so many chapters between us. I think we need to make another one." And then out comes CM Punk, pretty much saying how you Roman, you forgot that it was every man for himself at the Royal Rumble. And pretty much he was talking about his favor from Paul Heyman still, which we still don't know yet to this day. Hopefully, we'll find out later on. And he was talking about thanking Paul Heyman to delivering Roman Reigns to me. Then he goes and beats up Roman Reigns, and then they have an all-out brawl between the three of them to the point where security had to get involved.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, these brawls are starting to get old. There's like a brawl.
It's like too many.
Yeah, they had a brawl last Friday, and then
Yeah,
Punk and Rollins had that brawl a few weeks ago, and
yeah.
then Charlotte Flair and Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton had that brawl 2 weeks ago on SmackDown too, where Tiffany Stratton like jumped on top of the security guards and like didn't even touch Charlotte. I'm like, damn, who knew she was more mad at the security guards than her?
My thing is, with all of these brawls that they've been having, like how much insurance policies do they have on these security guards, man? It's like they're getting hurt left and right, and they keep coming back and back.
Yeah, it's some weird shit, but yeah, these brawls are like really getting repetitive. And look, this match does look interesting, even though there should be more of a stipulation to it. And Punk had a great promo one day on Raw, even though he
Yeah.
was the only one there out of the three, talking about how, don't forget, I brought the two of you into this business, and I can't wait to be the one who takes you both out of this business.
Yeah, but also let's not forget, prior to him saying that, Kurt, he had talked about how, well, you know what, I do have a WrestleMania match, but is it really the one that I want? He is foreshadowing the one, the type of WrestleMania match that he really wanted, Kurt, is a championship match. It's one thing when you have a match at WrestleMania, though, but the championship match at that event is the one that he's been yearning for the longest time. He mentioned about how he had his opportunity at the Royal Rumble. He had a second opportunity at Elimination Chamber. So, and then with this contract signing this upcoming Friday, I think we're gonna see some type of stipulation or whatever is going to be added into that contract. We're going to see what's going to happen because I've been trying to tell everybody that when you have these kind of matches, when you have like a three-way or four-way and there's no stipulation, it doesn't make any sense. You have to have a stipulation. What are these men fighting for? What's the goal?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll add something to it, but more than likely, this is definitely going to be the night one main event.
Oh, of course. Yeah, and prior to all that, we were all thinking that it would be Gunther and Jey Uso, and a lot of the fans were kind of like crapping on Jey Uso right now because, especially after what happened, not this past week, but the week prior, where he had that botched mistake where Jey Uso tried to do a flip over the top rope, but he fell, kind of tripped over it, and they're kind of like, "Yo, this is the dude that wants to be champion." They kind of been
And and
crapping
now
on him a
they're
little bit.
and now they're implementing it into the storyline because on Raw Monday, after him and Jimmy teamed up and beat A Town Down Under,
Yeah.
Gunther came out again to attack Jimmy and Jay, and then Jay was getting ready to spear Gunther, but then he tripped, and then Gunther just started pounding on him before Jimmy could come and save him. So yeah, and then backstage when Jimmy was talking to Jay and like kind of giving him a motivational speech, like that was brought up again about the flip from last week and also the spear from this week. And like Jimmy was basically telling Jay like, yo, this Jay doesn't have a chance at WrestleMania, but the Jay that I knew, the Jay that was my partner for years and we won the titles together and were the champions for so long, that Jay has a chance.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy confronted Gunther a few seconds later and then challenged him to a match this coming Monday on Raw, which Gunther accepted, but Jimmy slapped the shit out of Gunther.
What did a
For
5-word said to the face? Man, that was
he
one hell of
slapped,
a slap. The fact that he got away with it too, though, because I thought Gunther was going to attack him at first, though, but he didn't do anything about it. I was like, oh my god.
yeah, he got away for it. He got away with it for now, but wait
Yeah,
till
for
what
now
happens.
though, but wow.
Yeah, he slapped Gunther the way that John Witherspoon smacked his mom in Friday After Next.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I can't stand that movie, but that was one of the few funny parts of it.
Man, that's going to be an interesting match though next week though to have Jimmy Uso versus Gunther. So we're going to see how that's going to play out.
I know how it's gonna play out. Gunther's gonna fuck his ass up.
Yeah, and then Jay's going to get involved. We're going to see what's going to happen, but I don't know, man. It hasn't been a point where Jay had an offensive advantage over Gunther. It's just been all Gunther these past few weeks.
Yeah, but I feel like the feud is getting a little bit better now with the inclusion of Jimmy and
Yeah.
also like these like slip ups with Jay where they're kind of implementing it into the story where like Jay's now having doubts. So that's making it a little better compared to what it's been the last 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But still, even with that aside, I don't think it's gonna go on last over the triple threat.
No, oh no. I mean, even before the match was announced, we kind of still like, well, yeah, Gunther and Jay will main event. But then once that triple threat was added in, I was like, oh yeah, they're definitely. It's no, there's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get that it's the championship match,
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, it's just not a bigger match than that one.
yeah. With the star power that you have in that match with those three people, yeah. So,
And Dave Meltzer said that this match is weird, the triple threat, because there's no history between those three guys.
what are you
What
talking?
the fuck is he talking
What the
about,
hell is he
son?
talking about?
Of course, there's
It was
history
Dave
between.
Metzler. I mean, come on, you shouldn't be surprised, man. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he says some weird shit from time to time, but that's another story. But from what we saw
I feel like
last
it's
Monday,
all the time.
yeah, but from what we saw last Monday on Raw, there's another match we're likely getting at WrestleMania because in the main event we did see Braun Breaker defend the Intercontinental title against Penta, but
Hmm.
Dominic Mysterio and Carlito's interference caused a disqualification, and then Finn Balor came out and he acted as if he was going to attack Dominic with the steel chair, but instead he handed it to him. And he and Finn Balor basically got the better of Breaker and also Penta. They beat the hell out of them both with the chair. And even at one point, Dominic tried to tease Penta joining him to
Yeah.
be a part of Judgment Day, but obviously Penta wasn't falling for it. But
Hmm.
ultimately, they got the better of him. And yeah, Finn Balor hit Penta with a coup de grace, and the three of them stood tall at the end of the show for presumably Judgment Day to be like reunited, at least for now. But from what we saw from that segment, we're definitely getting probably a 4-way with
Yeah.
Dominic, Finn, Penta, and Breaker for the IC title.
Yeah. Ever since the week before that, when the match between Braun Breaker and Finn Balor, you notice there's a camera shot of Dominic Mysterio looking at the Intercontinental belt outside the ring. So that was already the planting of the seeds where I was like, okay, I think I see Dom going for that title. So it's not a surprise to me that eventually they're going to book a 4-way between the four. I think is good, especially for Dominic Mysterio and also for Penta too. I want to see Penta go after that title as well. So it's good for him and also for Dominic Mysterio. So
Yeah, it'll be Dominic's first WrestleMania match not involving his father, so that'll be a
yeah,
plus.
yes,
It's going to be Penta's first WrestleMania, Braun Breaker's
hmm,
first WrestleMania,
yeah,
and it would have been nice to see like a Braun Breaker and Penta singles match at WrestleMania because they kind of teased that last week.
they
But
did.
this having Dominic and Finn Balor involved like gives them more stories to tell, and
Yeah,
also it's probably more of a way to get everybody on the show.
true. That's very true.
Yes, and also another match we'll probably see at WrestleMania is Rey Mysterio against this newcomer El Grande Americano.
What do you think about this storyline for one? Because here's another situation where the fans There's some fans are kind of like, this is offensive. Like, dude, it's just the storyline. It's not offensive. It's funny. This is the
Yo, how
funniest thing
great
I've ever
is
seen. I
yo?
saw the whole video package of, oh, they even implemented the Gulf of America. I was like, oh my God. And then they're all talking about, oh, where he came from. He's one of the greatest lucha wrestlers of all time. And you think it's Jack Cable the whole entire time, but it's just, it's hilarious. I like it. It's funny.
Yo, and his theme music cracks me the
Oh
fuck
my
up.
god, the theme. Oh my god, whoever came up with the theme, it should get a raise because I like. It's like it's an American, but it's in it's in, it's literally it's in corridos, and it's like a Mexican version of like an American song. I like it
Yeah, this is kind of the WWE version of the movie Nacho Libre.
pretty much. I
Yeah,
like
but
it. I like the storyline. It's funny.
yeah, I wasn't sure what to think of it at first, but like after what we saw this week, it's definitely growing on me.
Oh yeah.
Yo, and yeah,
Yeah,
Chad Gable goes into Adam Pearce's office claiming to be
sick.
sick and that he can't do the match with Dragon Lee. So then he recommends El Grande Americano to take his place, and then they
Grande
agree to it.
Americano.
And then El Grande Americano takes off Dragon Lee's mask, and then Dragon Lee's trying to cover his face, and then Grande Americano puts him in the ankle lock and then gets the win.
The ankle lock.
Yeah, the ankle.
I tell
Yeah,
you, hey, I'm telling you, man. It's
but
one of those things when you really think about it, I was like, this is not going to work, but it's working. It's working.
but honestly, that was the best match on the whole show on Monday. Was that match?
Mm.
Yeah, so we're probably gonna get like probably Rey Mysterio against El Grande Americano, probably like in a mask versus mask match, something along
Oh,
those lines.
interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, and over on SmackDown, obviously we're gonna get Naomi and Jade. Yo, I'm loving this new Naomi look as a heel, though. You could definitely tell she grew up a big fan of Owen Hart.
Oh yeah.
I like the meme that I saw online of that new outfit where it said where she's toxic and there's all the warning signs all over her, but you still like her anyway.
Oh god.
And then we have Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte for the women's title, and that match does not feel very important, especially after Charlotte basically cooked Tiffany Stratton and that back and forth like interview they had on Friday on SmackDown, where
Mm.
basically like Charlotte said, where Tiffany was like saying, when I become your age, I'm gonna be even better than you. And then Charlotte's response was, by the time you're my age, you'll be lucky if you even still work here.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
said before, I'm still sticking to this opinion. I think Tiffany Stratton really needs to win that match badly.
At the very least, she needs to have like a standout performance. Whether she wins or loses, she needs to have like that
That is
standout
true.
star-making performance.
That is true though, but I'm also looking at the fact like she just won the title, you know?
Well, it
So
has been 3 months, not necessarily just
true
won
though,
it,
but
but
who has he defended it against? Like,
Jax,
huh?
Nia Jax, but the match ended on a disqualification.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah.
Bailey, she beat Bailey.
Okay.
Yeah, but they need to spice that feud up a little
This is
bit
the
too.
first time that they're actually doing like an actual in-depth storyline going to an event with the title, So I'm looking
Yeah.
at that point.
So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Also, since we last spoke to you guys, it's official. We're gonna get Randy Orton and Kevin Owens at
Oh
WrestleMania.
yes, yes, yep.
Also, we're gonna get Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. That's also been made official. I do like the story they've been kind of like telling with it, where Drew's bringing up the fact um that Damian's kind of like screwed him over so many times in the last year, from the Money in the Bank cash in last year to Clash of the
Oh yeah.
Castle to the other
Hmm.
Money in the Bank cash in when he tried to cash in, but then Punk messed it all up,
Yeah.
and then eliminating him from the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber. So yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure it's not the
I
most
like.
appealing match for Drew considering the year that he's had, but they're making it work.
They're really making it work. They're you kind of like you need to have your justifiable reasons for the feud, and what they did, that history again. I like those kind of storylines I like to call them cold case feuds because you're going over stuff that happened, from the past, either if it was like from a year ago or even from a couple years ago, and it pretty much comes back around to a storyline. So I like those kind of storylines in wrestling.
Yeah, I fucks with it too. So yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna get that match. We're probably gonna get like a 3 or 4 way for the U.S. title with like L.A. Knight, Jacob Fatu, Braun Strowman, and maybe they'll add Solo Sikoa into it. Maybe we'll get that.
Oh, I thought because how the way I've been looking at it, it looks like it's just been kind of like to the point where I thought I was just going to see Jacob Fatu and Solo one on one because they kind of been butting heads with each other for a minute.
But since they're involved with LA Knight in the whole US title situation, I think they're probably going to get added into that. So that's kind of
Mm.
where I'm seeing it. And if they do have a singles match, it'll probably be maybe a backlash or sometime later this year.
Oh, which
Yeah,
will
and
be in
also,
St. Louis, by the way, it was announced.
yeah, and they need to make the main event on that show Randy Orton against John Cena.
We'll see, depending on what happens. We'll see.
Either Randy Orton and John Cena or Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, we'll definitely see what happens with that. But and since we last spoke to you guys, the Street Profits won the tag team titles from
Good
DIY.
for them.
The first time they've been the champions in 4 years, so now they're going into WrestleMania as the champions. So we'll probably see them like in a multi-team match with like DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, Pretty Deadly. Probably see something along those lines.
But good for them, though. They that was a good moment for them. I was really happy for them.
Yeah, me too. It was a good look. They got to hold nice sort of versions of the titles compared to the titles that they had back
Oh
when they were.
yes.
Were-
Yeah. That's a good point. Yep.
Yeah, and also from the Raw side, from Raw, we're probably gonna get the War Raiders against New Day for the tag team titles. I think that'll make sense.
Mm.
And from what we saw on Monday, I think we're probably going to get Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defending the women's tag titles against Lyra Valkyria and Bailey.
Oh right, and yeah, because Lara Valkyria had a match against Raquel Rodriguez for that women's Intercontinental title this past Monday.
Yes, and she won, even though Liv Morgan tried to interfere, and then Liv and Raquel attacked her afterwards, and then Bailey
Yeah.
came out to her rescue. But I did notice Bailey kind of staring at the women's IC title while she
Hmm.
to Lyra. So they
Hmm.
could do that tag title match, or they could do possibly Lyra against Bailey for the women's IC title.
We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of looking like what the WrestleMania card's gonna be. I think it'll still ultimately turn out well in the end, like when the show happens. But as far as the build they've been doing to get there, it's been a little hit and miss.
True, but you got to remember, it's funny how 10 years ago WrestleMania 31 didn't really have that much of a good build up, and guess what we got?
A great WrestleMania,
One of the
incredible.
greatest of all time.
And we'll get into that in a few minutes. But before we do, I want to send congratulations to Ricochet and Sammantha Irvin. They just
Oh
got married
yes,
last night.
yeah. Congratulations to them. I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
looked like a beautiful wedding.
yeah.
Congratulations to them both. Wish them the best. And also, it's been announced that the natural disasters will officially be going into this year's Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
Yeah, congratulations to them.
Yep.
Also, rumored to go into the Hall of Fame this year is also Kamala,
Oh, okay.
announced yet, and potentially Ken Shamrock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've
Interesting.
been hearing his name float around lately. It should be Demolition going in this year, but I don't have anything against the disasters going in, and I definitely don't have anything against Ken Shamrock going in or
I
Kamala.
think that'll be very interesting that Ken Shamrock gets inducted, if he gets inducted into this year's Hall of Fame, especially the fact that it will be here in Las Vegas, the home of UFC, where he originally started from. So I think that would be pretty much poetic if that happens.
Who knows? Maybe The Rock can induct him.
Hmm.
Or maybe Steve Blackman. Maybe Steve Blackman will make an appearance and induct him.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah. Hmm.
And it came out yesterday. Saraya made the announcement that she's officially done with AEW.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about that. And also Gail Kim got
Got fired from TNA.
yeah. Oh man.
They rehired Tessa Blanchard, who has a horrible reputation, who's like has accusations of being racist and like just a horrible person all around. But yet Gail Kim was like very well liked and very well respected by everybody. They let somebody like that go.
Weird.
Yeah, it doesn't speak well in the hiring and firing process.
Nope.
Yeah, no wonder why Jordan Grace maybe wanted to get out of there. All right, but yeah, and also, did you see Swerve Strickland's interview on Vlad TV? Did you see like, any clips of that?
No.
Where he talked about the whole Booker T thing, about like what Booker T said about his comments about why WWE let him go, and how Swerve basically used like the card of the fact that like, he got let go because he was black. He used that as a reason, and then when he's talking about like what Booker T said about that in response, he basically said Booker T can't say anything because of the fact that Vince McMahon said the N word right in front of him on live TV.
That's a bit silly to say that. Swerve said that, right?
Yeah, he's saying like, "Yo, you can't say anything," when Vince McMahon literally said that word right in front of you on live television and you did nothing about it.
Well, for one, if Swerve was smart, he would have known that that whole thing that was a work, that was a shoot. It's not like it was actually happening in real life or whatever. You know what I mean? The whole thing was a shoot. And
Look, it was a dumbass segment. Don't get me wrong; it's cringeworthy. I'll never watch that shit again in my life. But yes, it was a skit. Very bad skit, but it was a skit.
it was a shoot. So I,
Well, a shoe would mean that it was real.
oh, I mean, not a shoot. You know what I mean? But it was a segment. So if Swerve was smart, he would know that he's not gonna like react in a real way in a segment like that. You know what I mean? So I thought that was a bit that's a bit silly thing to say that.
Yeah, because I remember Booker T was saying that like he's bringing up the race issue too much. Because remember that Swerve interview from the Breakfast Club where he basically said like, how they treat the black wrestlers. And granted, they haven't been very kind to the black singles wrestlers recently. I'll admit that. But
Well, well,
to
you know
claim,
what I've
okay,
noticed. Um, that's it's funny because we were just talking about the U.S. title picture, right? Um, was it a couple weeks ago or a few weeks ago? Kurt, Randy Orton and Carmelo Hayes were having a couple of good matches between each other to the point where I was like, oh, you got to push Carmelo now. At
I,
least get him into like a U.S. title picture because he's working with Orton and they were working with each other very well.
I'm sure he'll get there at some point. But I will admit there is a difference between how well the black wrestlers are doing on the male side in WWE compared to AEW.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a fair argument because in AEW you have Swerve Strickland, you have Ricochet, you have the Hurt Syndicate, and as far as WWE goes, you have Carmelo Hayes, but he loses more often than not.
yeah.
You have R-Truth, but R-Truth is more of a comedy act, more or
And
less.
you know what, man? And I wish, like, look, I'm not hating on the comedy act of our truth though, but dude, when you look at his work, like a long time ago when he was working for
TNA.
TNA back in the day, dude, I was watching a promo from him. I was like, oh my god, he was like legit, like good on the mic. Like, and I'm not talking about. He was very serious on the mic, and I was like, oh my god, how come they didn't? Dude, they could have used that character for WWE though, but obviously they had different plans though. And I mean, I'm not hating like I said, I'm not hating on the comedy act that he does, but there's so much potential you could do with him. And I saw that promo and I was like, oh my god, like this whole entire time, wow, they could have been
Yeah,
doing
he was even in that movie, The Wrestler. He had a cameo in that. I actually
that.
watched it last week. He was actually in one scene.
Oh, okay.
So was Ernest Miller. Ernest Miller's the dude he wrestles in
Ernest
the
the
last
Cat
match.
Miller.
Yeah, he's the dude he wrestles in the last match at the end of the movie.
Those dance moves he did back in WCW was hilarious.
Somebody call my mama.
He even had James Brown show up on WCW, Kurt.
I remember first Rocky
Uh,
Four. Now WCW gets him.
I'm sorry.
First Rocky Four gets James Brown to make a cameo, and then WCW gets him to make one.
Oh man,
Yeah,
man,
but I like Swerve, but some of these comments I'm kind of like iffy about.
I don't know, man. I hate it when when people try to use the race card thing. It's annoying.
Look, I think he was definitely unfairly fired a couple years ago, and he actually dived into that and talked about how like Top Dollar was kind of the one who was responsible for that because he kind of was like asking questions to the office about BFAB, because BFAB actually got fired before them, and he was like asking questions kind of, I guess, aggressively, and that kind of like rubbed off bad on the rest of the group, and that's kind of why they got let go.
Mm,
So yeah, look, I don't think he was fired fairly, Swerve Strickland, but I don't think they literally just fired him and the rest of the crew just because they're black.
yeah.
I don't doubt there's some racist things that go on in WWE in the office with some certain people in charge. I don't doubt that there's some prejudices that do exist, but to play it in every single last situation, and in this one specifically, I don't think it's
And
necessarily.
it goes back with the Bianca Belair situation. It's like, oh my god, they're booing her because she's black. Europe is racist, and I'm like, okay, for one, not to beat up a dead horse, as the old saying goes, but it's like, look, majority of the fans who are complaining about that, look, no offense, you guys have not even stepped out of the country to know whether or not certain countries are racist, and yet there's so much that is going on within our own country.
Yep, you can't deny that at all. And to be honest, I dislike Elon Musk more than I dislike Trump these days.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just, the whole thing's a mess. And like I said, this is kind of the equivalent to saying that Kamala Harris didn't win the election and people didn't vote for her because she's black. And look, I'm not going to say that there aren't people who didn't vote for her because of those reasons, but just in general, let's be honest, the Democrats just did not run a good campaign. And a lot of people were kind of tired of their toxic bullshit that they refused to take any accountability for. And look, I don't like Trump. I don't like what's going on right now. I think it's horrible, but the Democrats definitely have some blame in this situation that they need to finally acknowledge, because if they don't, we're just going to be in the same situation in the next election and the election after that and so on.
Oof.
All right, but enough of that political bullshit. Are you ready to jump into our pro wrestling DeLorean?
That's yes, indeed.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
indeed. I'm ready.
So, yes, it's been 10 years since this very memorable show known as WrestleMania 31, which took place at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. And I
March
know
29th.
March 29th of that year, and I am very familiar with this show because I was there in person.
You were there in person. I'll ask you a lot of questions about this event that you were there,
Third
though.
WrestleMania I attended, yes.
Yeah, but before we jump into WrestleMania 31, we will be discussing events and stuff that took place during that month of 2015. Um, I mean, there are some interesting things though. Actually, on the music side, actually though. But do you remember the song "See You Again" by Wiz Khalifa?
Of course I do. I remember that song very well from that time period. Actually, a few days after this WrestleMania, I went to Vegas and I was staying with my best friend, and we actually cooked Passover dinner together. And that
Mm.
day we were putting the dinner together, we were listening to the radio, and one of the songs they played constantly on the radio was that song "See You Again" from Wiz Khalifa.
So March 10th, it got commissioned by the film on Furious 7 as a tribute to Paul Walker, who passed away. That was pretty much like the whole theme of that song. Um,
Yeah, he's in the whole video. Yeah, it's the Fast Seven song.
yeah. Are you familiar with One Direction breaking up that month?
I'm not familiar with that. No, I'm not.
No, they pretty much. I think two of the artists. I think they broke up that month. Here's another one. March 23rd, which was my younger brother's birthday, by the way. Um, Chris Jenner and Bruce Jenner divorced after 13 years of marriage.
Oh, that's so sad.
And this was the whole before. This was before Bruce Jenner did the whole sex change though. But yeah, I didn't. I kind of forgot about that. Yeah, they got a divorce. Can you tell me what was the number one song
Uptown Funk.
by Bruno Mars? That was a very popular song. They were playing that song a lot on the radio though, but it was a good song though. That song they were playing that song like clubs and everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, it was Mark. It was Mark Ronson actually, but
Oh
Bruno Mars
yeah,
was on it too.
true.
Yeah, I remember there was a meme on Facebook that was hilarious, a veganism meme where it said that, so you think you can get protein off of a vegan diet? And the response was, "Don't believe me, just watch." And then they play the song.
Oh wow.
You already know I'm one vegan protein sexy motherfucker.
One of my favorite albums that came out that month, and it's been 10 years now, is "To Pimp a Butterfly" by Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah,
Was
it was a good album.
released March 15th. That was a very good album. I was actually just listening to it last week, and I just forgot how good that album was. Very good
If these
album.
walls could talk.
Yeah, that whole album had a message, man. It was a very deep message in that throughout the whole album. Very good
All of
album.
his music is deep, bro. But in all honesty, my favorite Kendrick albums would have to be that Section 80 mixtape, which actually came out before, like his actual first album.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Also, Good Kid, Mad City was dope.
Yeah, very, very. Oh my God, you kidding
And
me?
not to mention Mr. Morale. Mr. Morale from a couple years ago, I personally liked a lot.
I have that on vinyl, and I just recently got GNX on vinyl as well.
Yeah, that We Cry Together song that gave me vibes of Jody and Yvette from Baby Boy. Straight up.
Can you tell me what was the number one movie on March 29th?
I think it was this movie called Home. I
Yeah,
don't
it was an
really know
animated
much
movie.
about
I
it.
never seen it. Yeah, I never seen it. I kind of like, I was like, I never heard this movie though. But yeah, that was the number one movie that day though. But yeah.
I remember that as far as movies, I remember around this time, I think I saw this movie with Will Smith and that girl who played Barbie. What was her name again?
Oh, is it called? Was it a Focus or something? No.
Yeah, I saw that movie that month. And yeah, I
Was
was kind
that
of
movie? I never seen that movie. Was that movie good?
it was okay. Nothing to write home about.
What was that movie about again? He's like a con artist or something like that, or no?
Yeah, I mean, look, it was better than Hancock, but that's not really saying much.
Oh, okay, yeah. It was on Netflix, so I never had an opportunity to watch it though. But
Also, around that time, another movie that came out was that Get Hard movie from Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart.
oh, I never seen that.
It was funny for what it was. I saw it once. I enjoyed it for what it was.
Okay, what was Kurt Cadet doing in 2015?
Well, at this point in 2015, I was actually getting ready to move to Vegas. I actually
Oh,
moved to Vegas 1 month after this WrestleMania. I drove
mm,
my car from South Florida to there. But around this time, I was going on my birthday trip, which was going to consist of going to San Francisco for WrestleMania and then
mm.
going to Vegas to see my best friend and also get things situated for my move. And yes, this trip to San Francisco actually marked my very first time ever visiting California.
Oh, wow,
I had
very
never been
interesting.
to California before until this trip. Yeah.
Okay, so it's pretty funny how 20 about crazy bills 10 years ago. So me, 2015 was that was actually the first year that I started. I went to UNLV.
Oh wow! Around this time or after
Not
this?
around that time though. I'll start the fall semester though. But I wasn't in school during that time of WrestleMania because I'd already graduated from CSN like the semester prior, so I was really wasn't doing much. I not necessarily, going out as much or anything. That didn't start to change not till later that year though. But it's really funny how that whole year in general for me kind of like I started to see a little bit of change in me. I started at someone, again, I started UNLV later that year. 2015 was actually the first year I actually went to Gold Spike for the first time.
Oh, cool. That's what's
And
up.
funny story. My very first night that I went there, I was under your impression where I thought like, oh, you know how you have to go to a club and you have to really be dressed up. They're not gonna let you go in. So I literally had like a dress shirt. I had slacks and nice shoes to go because I didn't even. I thought there was a dress code or whatever. So when I go there, I'm literally just overdressed. I see everybody just completely dressing very casual, and I was like, oh my god, I was very embarrassed. Funny story.
The
I
night
was pretty embarrassed. I was like, man, I can't believe that I actually like,
was
wow.
that the night you started to see that maybe downtown Vegas is a lot more fun than the Strip?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's when I was kind of like, yeah, that's when I started to get the feel of what was going on within the city and started, going to, different restaurants and stuff and going out to eat, usually the places I usually like to go to this day. But yeah, there's a very funny first night of going there to go spike. And I really wasn't doing much. I didn't do anything. I went there with a friend and we just chilled and just talked. That was it. But
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying no, but the funny thing about that I was completely overdressed. I was like, wow. I was like,
It
I can't
happens.
believe I can't believe I was over here overdressed and everybody else is dressing all casual. I'm like, well, damn.
Hey, maybe you stood out more to the
it's a head,
girls.
it's a head, it's a tip for next time whenever I come back here, which I did time and time after again though. But yeah, it's crazy how 2015 was for me. Um, I watched WrestleMania 31 at my friend's house. We didn't have WWE Network yet at the time, so my friend did. And we just went, me and my brothers. We went over to his house to watch it.
That sounds dope. And yeah,
Yeah,
I was in that stadium. I got there a little early, like about an hour and a half before the pre-show started. And yeah, just a great vibe being around those fans who
yeah.
come from like different places across the world, but you guys all have that same thing in common. So in that regard, you have that connection. And I will say it was hot as hell
I
outside.
was just getting ready to ask you that, man, because I was watching WrestleMania 31, just recently
So
yesterday, and you got to remember throughout the whole day the sun was out,
yeah,
sunny.
that was different about this WrestleMania because it was like the first WrestleMania like on the West Coast
Yeah.
that would be outdoors.
For the first time in 10 years, though, because you got to remember, 10 years ago, WrestleMania was in Cali, but in LA, though, but it was indoors, though. But yeah, this was the
That's what I mean.
first time that Mania was back on the West Coast because the
Yeah,
majority of the time they're always on the East Coast or the Midwest. So
yeah. So other than WrestleMania 9, this is pretty much the only WrestleMania that pretty much took place in daylight for the majority of it.
yeah,
It got dark like towards the end, like the last match or so it got dark, but
yeah.
majority of that show was in the daylight.
Man, I was just saying to myself,
Yeah, it
like,
was hot
those
out there.
fans had to be hot. It was really hot that day. I was just getting ready to ask you that
It wasn't Vegas hot, but yeah, it was still pretty hot.
because the sun was beaming down on you. Like, do you like where exactly were you sitting at? Were you sitting on the side where the sun was shining on you,
I was
or
sitting
were
in the
you in?
two I was sitting in the 200 section, like behind the announce table area.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, you were
Yeah, like
getting
so
all,
across from the entrance. Yeah, so like that area.
you're facing the entrance.
Yeah, I was facing the entrance, yes.
Okay. Wow. Oh,
Pretty good
interesting.
seats. The best seats I had at a WrestleMania was 28, but these are still good seats, especially for what I paid for them. It being
Do you remember how much
California,
you paid for them?
like 250 ish, maybe 250, give or take.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. And I just like the fact that that stadium had vegan options because obviously it's San Francisco, it's the Bay Area, and yeah, it was just so dope to be in that stadium. And yeah, they had some vegan hot dogs.
Is
I
it
had that with wine. I got drunk off of wine there because they didn't have any liquor.
what? Wow. Was it a? But is it a nice stadium though?
It's a great stadium. Honestly, I would say it's the best stadium out of all the stadiums I've been to for WrestleMania.
Really?
But
Over AT&T Stadium in Dallas.
well, that stadium's dope too, but the problem was it's like was such a mission to get inside, like with the whole like security situation. Like it took us like forever to get in. Like we didn't get in until like the beginning of like the ladder match. So like that kind
Wow.
of ruined my experience. And Sun Life Stadium or Hard Rock Stadium or whatever they call it now because it's changed names so many damn times. That stadium is also cool, but obviously it's an older stadium, so
Yeah.
it has that appeal to it
It's
has
been there
that
since the 80s.
vibe to yeah
Yeah.
that and MetLife Stadium's cool. It's fine. It's fine also. But obviously, the biggest dump of a stadium I've been to, no disrespect to the city of Orlando, was the Camping World Stadium where I went to for
Oh, of
33
course.
years.
That's an old stadium. Now, the
Yo,
only
because
reason why they made it look good because, they designed it and make it,
yeah, I
new.
remember I remember Jericho talking about it on that WrestleMania documentary about how that stadium
Yeah.
was all old and messed up. And then when I went there for that WrestleMania, I'm like, holy shit, Jericho was not lying. This stadium is old. Holy, and in a very bad neighborhood too. Yeah, the neighborhood it's
Yeah.
in is mad sketchy.
So there's a lot of interesting facts about this event. Some stuff that I did not even know about. So I it's a long one, but really interesting though. So says here Daniel Bryan will become the first man to win a world championship, Intercontinental championship, and tag titles matches on Mania's main show.
3 straight years, and it's so crazy. He won the he won the WWE title in the main event of WrestleMania the year before, and then won
Mhm.
the Intercontinental title in the opening match of this WrestleMania.
Yeah, very interesting though, but a very good way. Also, a very good way to start off the match, though, which we'll get into later. Though we're going to be coming more of these facts that I see. Um, the U.S. title match between Rusev and John Cena. This was the first U.S. title match that they had at a WrestleMania for the first time in 8 years. It's been a long time. I think the last time they had one was back in 2007, which was between Chris Benoit and MVP at WrestleMania 23.
Yeah, I remember that. And yes, I remember the Rusev and John Cena Rocky 4 match from this WrestleMania. Just from that damn build.
Hey! Rusev's entrance was dope.
Oh no, it was great. Yo, I loved
That
it.
was
Yeah.
dope. And they're
That was a
playing
great
when they were
entrance.
playing the Russian national anthem. I was literally was like Rocky Four, literally.
And he has the Russian soldiers come out and like Lana's
Yeah,
just
and the
holding the
tank,
title. He
and he's
comes out in
coming
the
out on the
tank.
tank. That was
That was crazy,
badass.
son.
That was all right. Which entrance you thought was more dope, that one or Bray Wyatt's entrance? Because I like the whole theme of him walking with the scarecrows. I thought that was very eerie, but also cool at the same time.
Bray Wyatt's entrance was great at that show. That entrance was dope. The only thing that kind of hurt it though that it was still in daylight.
That is true, though.
It was
And
still a good
speaking,
entrance though. Don't get me wrong. It was still a
you
very good
have a good
entrance.
point. That is true, though. You kind of wish that Taker and Bray Wyatt match started like little
Or were
bit
they
later when it was
cool?
darker.
That was as dark as it
Yeah,
could be before the.
so it could feel cool. And speaking of the time, it's funny you mentioned about the daylights and everything. Kurt, this will be the last WrestleMania that will be under that 4 hour time limit.
Yep, it ended. Literally, this show was pretty much exactly 4 hours. And yes, from WrestleMania 32 on, there would be like 5.5 hours. And now we have 2 nights of WrestleMania because how long they
Yeah.
were becoming.
It's just it's crazy how much change after this mania, because like like
Yeah.
you said, Kurt, the rest of the WrestleManias moving forward were just overbearingly too long, to the point where I'm like, dude, is this event over yet?
And
You
I'll
would
be
think,
honest,
I'm sorry, you would think that like it's like, okay, it will start like what, 4 p.m. Pacific time, and it's like already 7 o'clock and they're still in the middle of the card. I'm like, no, like what? They're still in the middle of the card. Like it's been what, 2.5 hours already. You know?
yeah, but I will say this was probably the last good WrestleMania until 37. There was like a 6 year period where the WrestleManias were kind of underwhelming, too
Yeah,
long, yeah,
mhm,
disappointing. But yeah,
yeah.
this one was a very good one, despite the fact that it had a horrible, horrible build going into it.
It did. And also speaking of last, things, Kurt, this is a bit weird and shocking at the same time. This will be the last WrestleMania in the month of March.
Yeah, that's right. We haven't had a WrestleMania in March since. And you know
Yeah.
what's also funny, which is also maybe a little sad when I watched this show yesterday?
Mhm.
This was the last time I ever saw Roddy Piper alive.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in the that backstage segment with Daniel Bryan, because um, Pat Patterson congratulated him. Then Roddy Piper, then Ricky Steamboat, then Ric Flair, then Bret Hart, and then I was like, oh my god, Roddy Piper. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was the last time he appeared on WWE TV because he
Oh
died
man.
4 months later.
Oh man.
Yeah, it does make me.
He
Yeah,
didn't. He looked good when you last saw him, though. Like, you know.
yeah, he didn't look like he was unhealthy or that he was like going through any health problems. But I just remember that speech he gave on that Real Sports interview. Because you remember that interview, right? That interview he got fired from WWE from in 2003 because of like the things he said about the promoters, like taking advantage of the wrestlers.
Oh no, I don't remember that.
Yeah, this is like when he was in WWE in that '03 run when he was like managing Sean O'Hare.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about like how the promoters like use you and like just take everything they can from you until there's nothing left. And then
Mm,
like after WWE heard the interview, he got fired. But one of the
mm.
things that he said in that interview that did stick out to me was that I can't take out my pension until I'm 65. And let's be honest, I'm not going to make it to 65. And he turned out to be right because he died when he was 61.
Oh no,
Yeah, man.
man.
Him and Dusty Rhodes died like pretty much within a month and a half of each other.
Wow. So here's another interesting fact. So The Rock talked to Dana White into letting Ronda Rousey appear at WrestleMania. That's pretty crazy. So Dana White, who's the owner of UFC, he pretty much wasn't really too big on letting, you know, UFC stars, want to do stuff in other, other stuff like WWE wrestling mainly though. But The Rock pretty much had kind of like says something to Dana White to like kind of convince him that, hey, look, I want to get Ronda Rousey involved in a segment at WrestleMania, which turned out great, by the way.
Yeah, and The Rock literally did SNL in New York the night before.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. And also, one thing that was really bad about this build up to WrestleMania was the feud between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, which all started at the Royal Rumble when Roman Reigns won the Rumble and Daniel Bryan got eliminated so early, and the fans just shitted all over it. Even The
Yeah,
Rock couldn't get the fans to cheer him.
yeah, and that's we'll get into that later, which we will talk about the matches going forward. Um, let's see here.
Yeah, but one thing I was hoping, like going into this WrestleMania, that they would somehow add Daniel Bryan to this match, which ended up didn't not happening. And yeah, just that whole build for this match, like up until the week of WrestleMania, this match did not really interest me that much at all. But then that week when Brock Lesnar officially re-signed with the company because his contract was supposed to expire at this WrestleMania, like that week when he re-signed, that started to make it interesting again. That's when you started to think, I wonder if he'll end up retaining. I wonder if Roman will end up winning. Like up until the week of this WrestleMania, I wasn't even that excited for it, even though I was going. But then the week of the show, that's when it started to kind of start to feel like WrestleMania.
I was interested in it. Um, you got to remember at this time, after Lesnar won the title at SummerSlam, right? He pretty much was like, okay, John Cena. Then he was gone. Then he goes back into John Cena, but then you add Seth Rollins into the mix, and then Roman Reigns was like a fresh new guy. So I was okay with it, especially the night after the Royal Rumble, because if you remember, Kurt,
I
they had a
remember,
snowstorm. So they didn't do anything, and they had that sit down interview between Lesnar and Roman, which I thought was pretty interesting. So I was like, okay. I thought how they handled certain things that they were doing was a bit weird because like I didn't like the finish for the Royal Rumble. To
hell
this
no.
till this day, it should have been Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan the last two in that match, and then they go on having they go on having a number one contenders match at Fastlane the month before, which I was like, okay, this it should have been these two in Royal Rumble though, but yeah, they had a great match with each other at Fastlane though, but Roman Reigns wins though, but still though. Um, Not only that, you had that feud going on, but you also had, I think, one match I was really into, very interested into going into that Mania was Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins.
Yeah, out of all the storylines going into that WrestleMania, I think that one was the most consistent.
Yeah, that was very consistent. That was the one that was going on for months. I like you had somebody who was already like kind of like the face of the company, Randy Orton, who was just recently champion not too long ago, and you have a new upcoming guy who is the future, Seth Rollins, and I just forget how it's crazy how so much has changed. It's like, man, Seth Rollins was so much younger by that time, and it's like, man, it's crazy how that was 10 years ago. At that time, he was talking about how he's going to be the future, and he is.
Yeah, and they had that great feud for months where like Rollins put him out where he curb stomped him on the steps, and then
Yeah,
Randy Orton was gone for 4 months, and then Randy Orton comes back and pretends to be his friend, and then he turns on him in a tag match, and then
yeah,
RKO's him through the announce table. That shit was nuts.
yeah.
Yeah, but I remember around this time, one thing I was not happy with was the fact that they brought back the Authority after they did that great angle at Survivor
Oh yeah, that
Series.
that was just it was weird.
Yeah, after they did that great angle at Survivor Series where they got put out of
Yeah.
power in that Survivor Series match, just to bring them
Mhm.
back a month later. Yeah, it was.
It was
Yeah,
weird.
a lot of WWE's creative flaws were very visible when I go back and watch this show.
Mm, very. Um, so let's just go ahead and start off with the event. So it's
Well,
bright.
before we start off, there was another major match that was going on in this show that did have an interesting build: the Sting and Triple H match.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get into that.
Even though it should have been Sting and the Undertaker in many ways, it did have some interest because it was Sting's like first time at WrestleMania, held his
Yeah,
first match in WWE period, and that match ended up being funner than I thought it would be, which we'll get into in a few minutes. But
yeah,
yeah, this was maybe the time they should have done Undertaker and Sting because they had it literally right in front of them. But like many things in this period, they blew it.
true. So we'll start. Let's go ahead and start with the event. It's a sunny day, bright day, completely different vibe of WrestleMania though, but I was digging it. But yeah, we start off with a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. This is the first time we had a ladder match for Intercontinental Championship since WrestleMania 10.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And I believe the first ladder match at WrestleMania in 5 years since the Money in the Bank at 26.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, you had Daniel Bryan, Wade Barrett, who was the Intercontinental Champion going into that match. R Truth, Stardust, Kurt.
Oh god, that tripped me out when that
Wow.
scrum come out. I'm like, yo, who would have ever thought that 10 years later this dude would be the WWE champion and like the
That's
number
what
one
I'm
guy in the company?
saying, dude. It's so crazy. I was watching that match. I was like, oh my God. Like, I still can't believe that was Cody Rhodes, dude. I just can't believe he still did that. And I felt bad for him for that
Yeah, I
gimmick.
thought they were gonna do Cody and Goldust at that WrestleMania because the month before, like going into Fastlane, like in February, they were kind of like teasing it a little bit with like
Yeah.
Dusty Rhodes also being involved in it, but then they ended up not doing it. So then, yeah, he
Mm.
was in the ladder match, and yeah, Brandy Rose was the ring announcer for this match. Funny enough.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, you had Stardust, Dean Ambrose.
Oh shit, John Moxley in the flesh. Yo, what did you think of that match last week with Cope, whatever he calls himself now, where he had like the spikes in his back?
Too much, Kurt.
Yeah, shit is overkill.
It's too much. You gotta. It, it it's too much, man. You don't have to go that far to prove your point to try to get. To me, it's not wrestling.
Honestly, the more I see it,
It was too violent. It was too graphic. Just to see that, just to get attention, is not worth it, man.
honestly, when I look at a lot of John Moxley's matches, I think back at it now that maybe Brock Lesnar had a point to maybe not do some of the spots that John Moxley wanted to do in their match at 32.
Oh,
Yeah, no, like looking at John
oh.
Moxley's matches now, I'm like maybe Brock had a point.
Yeah.
And I will say, Dean Ambrose took the nastiest bump in this whole match when
Oh, he
Carver
did.
power bombed him. When he
Yeah.
power bombed him through the damn ladders, and he had like a cut in the back of his head.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even notice that. Oh, let's not forget Dolph Ziggler was in this match as well.
Yes, Dolph Ziggler was in this match, who had a hot end to 2014 when he was a sole survivor of that Survivor Series match and had that great ladder
Hmm.
match with Luke Harper. But then when they brought the Authority back and did all that bullshit, yeah, it kind of cooled him off.
And yeah, speaking of Luke Harper was in this match too, man. That's like wow.
Yeah, sad that he's not around anymore. Yeah, it kind of really bummed me out when I saw him come out. That yeah, you really
Yeah,
look back at it and you're like, damn, you wish he was still here. And Bray Wyatt too.
yeah. I just still can't get over the Stardust thing. I'm just like Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes. Wow. And 10 years later, he's the WWE champion.
It's
About the
so
main
funny.
event WrestleMania. Wow.
It's so funny what he said about that Stardust period. He kind of like felt more bad for his wife for the fact that she had to like deal with him while he was like in that kind of mindset
Yeah, man.
based on his life.
I just that gimmick, man. I felt like there's no way he's going to recover from this, and long and behold, he's recovered greatly. So
Yes, and yeah, this match was fun. It was a good opener. They had a
yeah.
lot of cool spots in it, but
Hmm.
ultimately, Daniel Bryan headbutted Dolph Ziggler off the ladder and then grabbed the Intercontinental title and held the title, unfortunately, for only a month or so because he would have to forfeit it due to his concussion and neck issues acting up again. And
Yeah.
this would lead into his retirement that would last for the next 3 years.
Oh man, but it was his first time winning that championship, and
Yeah,
also
and
it
it's
was
because he didn't really get to have a run with it. Yeah, he literally
no,
had it here and then he forfeited it after he won it.
yeah, but I really like the whole idea of him like okay, he ends last year winning the world title, and then you start off the show the following year winning another championship.
Yeah, that was dope. Yeah, I did like that. I would
Yeah,
have liked to have seen him in the main event of this show, but it didn't work out that way. But I'm happy he's got to have this.
yeah. So on to the next match. We had Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins, and this was a very underrated match.
Oh yeah, as far as underrated matches at WrestleMania, I put this in my top 10 that people don't talk about enough.
Very true. Um, just the just the chemistry between Orton and Rollins in this match, and we cannot get over that ending of that match.
Oh man.
One of the best RKO's ever.
Yep, when Rollins tries to like step on top of Randy's back, and then while he's in midair, Randy Orton drops him with an RKO
Yeah, try to
and then
do a curb stomp.
the
Yep.
win. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I remember like right after this WrestleMania, they banned Rollins from using the curb stomp for like three
Yeah, man,
years.
I hated that. I was like, what the hell? It's not that bad. Come on.
They were afraid that
Stupid.
people had neck problems because of it, concussion problems.
Oh.
Yeah, but
Man.
that's another story. But he got to use it on this night, but trying to do it in this scenario backfired on him. As Randy Orton gave us one of the best RKO's we've probably ever seen. Best out of nowhere
Take
one.
me back seeing that in person.
That was nuts, son. That was nuts.
Crazy.
But it was great. Yeah, this is a good match, man. This is a very underrated um, WrestleMania match. Like I said, that people don't talk about enough. And I kind
Mhm.
of missed the J and J security dudes. I remember
I
they had
do. I actually,
Rollins.
I'm telling you right now, man. It's funny. I was on Twitter and I was looking at a post saying like which version of Seth Rollins is the best, and that architect Seth Rollins is one of my favorite. Kurt, I have to give um, a little bit of respect to the Monday Messiah Seth Rollins. If you remember that one from 5 years ago,
Of course, yes, of
very
course.
underrated, a very underrated gimmick that he did that didn't last that long. I wish he would have did a little bit longer though. But that architect Seth Rollins, when he had his first world title run, man, that was my favorite Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I love those guys as a part of his act. They were kind of like the modern version of Patterson and Briscoe.
That's fun. Joey Mercury and
Jamie Noble.
Jamie Noble. Yep. J and J Security. I missed yeah, that brings me back, man. That's crazy.
They should have brought like maybe Nydia back for one night only, and
Oh
maybe do
God.
the
They
mystery.
should have. An idiot. Hey, I think Jamie was trying to get away from his southern roots and try to be all formal. And be like, look, I'm putting that beside me. I'm not with media no more. Okay.
It's
Ever
a damn
since you
shame because
tried
she
to
was good
take the
as well.
cruiserweight title away from me, I was like, no. Mm-mm.
Yo, I saw a recent picture of her. Yo, she still looks good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she still does.
Interesting.
Oof, but that's another story. But on to our next match. For the very first time in WWE history, Sting performed at WrestleMania, and he had a very odd entrance, to say the
I was
least.
getting ready to ask you about that because at first, okay, so I'm going to take myself back to 10 years ago, right? I didn't think much of it. I was like, oh, okay, this is an interesting entrance. But when I look back at it now, it was kind of odd. I was kind of like, how does this translate to Sting as the character? You know what I mean? Because don't get me wrong, I like the whole idea of it. You had the Japanese drummers and the gong and all that, but I was kind of like, there's a bit of an odd entrance when I look back at it.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Like they weren't bad at what they were doing. It's just that it didn't really
What was
fit the Sting character.
Yeah, like what was the whole point? And then he comes out to a red robe. You expect him to wear black.
Maybe he grew up a fan of Hugh Hefner or something.
I don't know, but it was a little bit of an odd entrance though. But Triple H had the best entrance.
Triple H.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the Terminator entrance that he had with
They're doing
Arnold,
to promote the Terminator movie that came out later that year. That was the whole point.
which I heard sucked, by the way. I quit after the third one. At the third one, I was done with it. After that,
Wait, you didn't like the fourth one?
I saw it was PG-13 and Arnold wasn't even in it, and I said, "Yeah, I don't need to watch
I
this."
mean, Christian Bell was in it, and they finally did a Terminator movie where actually, okay, they're doing a war. You're actually doing a Terminator film where, okay, you're in a
No,
war.
it's PG-13 after the
It
other
didn't
one.
matter. I'm not talking about the rating. I'm talking about the whole storyline of the film because you look at the past Terminator movies. The only time you heard about them talking about the war was just flashbacks and clips of it. That was it. We actually got a full scale movie where it's like, oh, you're actually now we're in a war, full movie. So that's what interests me though. But that's another
I'd be
story.
at war with my conscience trying to force myself to watch that damn movie.
It was Christian Bell was in it. Damn it, come on.
It's great, but sometimes even a great actor can't save a movie that's not great. Look at look at George Clooney in Batman and Robin.
Oh. Anyway, um, interesting match. This is one of those matches where, like, hey, you got two guys facing each other for the first time. You know, you got to fill each other out.
But yo, one thing that annoyed me about this build for this match, and also like
Yeah,
throughout the match,
yeah.
they were milking that Monday Night War shit to death.
Oh, they were.
Oh
Even the
my god!
announcers. When you actually watch the match, because I know you were there live though, but when you actually watch the match, when you hear the commentary, yeah, they were going on and on and on about that Monday Night War stuff.
Sting tried to put us out of jobs. Sting tried to put us out of business. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Sting wanted to go down with the ship. He couldn't make it in the big leagues. My God. I'm like, yo, you guys won this war like what, 15, 16 years ago, and you still can't get over it.
I don't think they did when you look back at it, especially of the decision that they made.
Well, he
So
actually,
the match gets more interesting when DX shows up.
yeah,
Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, X Pac show up to
yes,
interfere.
yes, but then followed by them was the NWO, and yo, they got a crazy reaction when they
Oh
came.
yeah, they got a
And
loud pop.
it was Hogan, Hall, and Nash, and ironically enough, this was the only time I ever saw Hulk Hogan live.
Oh
Out of every wrestling show I've ever been to in my life, this is the only time I ever saw Hulk Hogan at one.
wow,
Yeah, nuts. But it was fun though. The NWO and the DX brawl they had outside the ring, that was dope. And then Hogan like took the sledgehammer away from Triple H when he tried to use it, as Sting had him in the Scorpion Deathlock. And then as Sting has Triple H in the Scorpion Deathlock, Shawn Michaels out of nowhere shows up and hits him with a super kick.
yep. Everybody was a bit of shock though, but you can't be shocked. I mean, come on, DX. I mean, Shawn Michaels is with DX, so I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah, but Sting and Shawn Michaels are like born again Christian buddies.
Oh, still though, the whole point of this match was pretty much like the Monday Night Wars. So,
Yeah, I remember. I think Shawn Michaels was like on one of Sting's like church shows that he had online once,
oh
and
yeah,
yeah, the one comment I saw underneath that was very interesting. It said the guy who never worked for WWE and the guy who never worked for WCW.
oh wow, that is true. That's a good point.
Yes, but the weirdest thing about this match was the ending, as Sting was
Mm,
about to hit Triple H with a Stinger splash, but then Triple H took a sledgehammer that was broken in half by Sting's baseball bat and nailed Sting in the face with it, and shockingly got the win off of that.
yeah, I want you to take me back. I know you were really like shocked by the decision. I know everybody else was.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like, yo, this is Sting's very first WWE match, his first WrestleMania.
Yeah,
And you're gonna have him lose, and especially like that. Even Scott Hall talked about this, where like they were doing the rehearsals for this match, like a couple days or a couple hours before. And when he found out about the finish to the match, him and Hogan just like looked at each other in shock, like, are they serious? This is the way they're gonna finish the match?
yeah. That was one of the facts that I found out that some of them were shocked by the finish. Um, I'm shocked as well. Not just the fact that Triple H won though, but also how he won. I wasn't expecting that. And like you said, it's one of those decisions where I was like, going into that match at that time, I deep in my heart, I was like, I knew Sting was going to win though, but he didn't. I was really surprised about that. I was also surprised at the fact that they shook hands after the match.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a cool personal moment for them, I'm sure. But
Yeah,
yeah, but look, this match was fun. But DX and NWO shenanigans really helped it out. But yeah, that ending like really was a sour way to end it. And not
Yeah,
to mention, overall, more than anything, it should have been Sting and Undertaker.
yeah. But I mean, just again, the ending was just it was weird because it's like of all like Triple H goes over, but how the way he won was just like that's so weird. I was like, and that's Sting,
Yeah.
and again, it's Sting's first WrestleMania, dude.
Yeah, there's a big difference between how Sting was treated in WWE and the way he was treated in AEW. Huge
Yeah,
difference.
big difference. And it's funny. Later down the road, I mean, Sting will have a couple more matches later, this year though. But Sting never had a win in WWE, as
He
far as
had
I.
one win in a tag team match on Raw.
Okay, but as far as like one on one,
Yeah, he
oh
only had two singles matches. He had that one with Triple H here, and he
yeah,
had the one with Rollins where he got hurt.
yeah, a Night of Champions. Wow,
Yeah, but at least Sting got to say he wrestled at a WrestleMania. At least he got that. I'm
that's
sure that was
true.
for him in that regard. And
That's true.
regardless of what the outcome was, like I said, at least he got to have that moment.
I know for a fact that Triple H and Sting were relieved while they were doing their match, though, because I know it wasn't that sunny as much because the shade was over. They had shade over the ring now.
Yeah, but for the pre-show matches and the first two matches, yeah.
Oh God! Oh man!
All right, but
Wow!
we move on to our next match, the only women's match in the show. We have the Bella Twins, Nikki and Brie, taking on AJ Lee and Paige.
Yeah, it was an okay match, but
It was a fine match, but honestly, it was more or less like a match you would see on Raw.
yeah,
And yeah, for like the stuff they were doing on TV in the weeks leading up to this, I remember this is actually around the time where the whole Give Divas a Chance campaign started because they had like a tag match on Raw with the women that went only 30 seconds and everybody was pissed off about it. So this was kind of like around that period and also around the time the women in NXT were starting to make noise. So I figured like, yo, it's cool that they have them on the show and whatnot, but it's kind of like weird that of all the matches they gave them at WrestleMania, they just gave them a random tag team match.
mm,
I thought they were going to do like maybe a four-way or something, but yeah, just a random tag team match like this.
yeah,
But it was fine. Like the match was cool for what it was. Like there was nothing wrong with it. But I did watch this list, like ranking the worst match from every WrestleMania, and for this WrestleMania, although it wasn't bad, they ranked this match.
oh really?
Yeah,
Mm,
like the person who was reviewing it said like, "Yo, there was just nothing wrong with this match, but like compared to everything else on the show, it was just kind of like nothing really that out of the ordinary."
important. Gotcha.
Yes, and AJ Lee and Paige actually ended up winning the match after AJ put Nikki in the Widow's Peak, I believe it was called.
Yeah.
Got her to submit. And I did notice that Paige was crying when her and AJ hugged each other after the match. And then I would kind of get an idea of why a few days later as AJ announced her retirement.
Yeah, I was just gonna react to because I think that AJ will eventually leave the company later on. So yeah,
No, she was, yeah, this was one of her last matches. She wrestled on Raw the next night. And then the Friday after this WrestleMania, it came out that she was done.
wow,
And actually, that's one of the reasons why they turned Naomi heel around this time is because they initially wanted AJ to turn heel, but since AJ left, Naomi did it instead.
wow.
Yeah, cool little showcase for the four women here. They were the top four women in the company at the time. So
Hmm.
yeah, the match was fine for what it was.
Hmm.
And in the Rocky Four match, we had Rusev defending the United States Championship against John Cena.
Uh, so yeah, like I said, alluded to earlier, I love Rusev's entrance. The playing the Russian national anthem and then the tanks coming out. Oh, I was like, oh, that's so badass. Sad though he's gonna lose. Though. I just knew that Cena was gonna win this match. And funny how the last time John Cena was in a U.S. Championship match at WrestleMania was his very first WrestleMania back in 2004, WrestleMania 20, Madison Square Garden, when he defeated the Big Show.
Yep, and just from the way this feud was going, and especially considering that Rusev had beaten Cena at
The month
Fast
before, yeah,
Four, yeah, you're like, yeah, John Cena's winning this match. There's no way he's losing.
yeah.
And lo and behold, John Cena, after a miscommunication between Rusev and Lana, Rusev ran into Lana and knocked her off the apron. So John
Oh,
Cena hits Rusev with the FU and wins the United States Championship for, I believe, the fourth time.
Poor Lana. And also, let's not forget in this match, John Cena performed a new repertoire in his move set.
The stunner from the flinging stunner or whatever it was called.
Yeah, I was like, what in the world? He just do?
That was
Yeah,
weird. That was weird.
yeah.
But even though this match was predictable and like really nothing really that stood out that much, the run that John Cena went on after this with
For that title.
title,
Oh, yes.
the U.S. title open challenges he was having throughout
Yeah.
2015 was the best stuff on the product at the time.
Which brought Kevin Owens in.
Yes, and that was a way better feud that Cena had this year than this one was. And funny enough, we would get this match on two more pay-per-views after this.
Yeah, they had an interesting. They had a chain match with each other at Extreme Rules a month later.
And then I think like an I Quit match at Payback.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, this feud definitely dragged on a lot longer than it should have, but it
Yeah.
is what it is. And honestly, Rusev, for the role he was on going into this
Oh my
WrestleMania
God.
for this last year, after he lost this match, yeah,
He wasn't the same, sadly.
he wasn't the same, and also Lana wasn't the same either.
No, they weren't. I felt bad for him, man, because he had a dominant 2014 year.
Yeah,
Dominant.
he did.
I loved the character. I loved how he had a piece of America of winning the U.S. title and using that to rub in everybody's faces. He was undefeated. I love that. I love the character. I loved it. But it's kind of sad though. Like all good things don't last forever. Yeah, he loses the title at WrestleMania, but then after that, he just wasn't the same anymore afterwards.
Yeah, him and Lana, they ended up breaking them up after this, and then Lana was randomly with Dolph Ziggler, and Summer Rae was with like Rusev, and she was
Oh
dressed like
yeah,
Lana, and the
yeah,
whole thing was a mess. Rusev really didn't catch fire again until the whole Rusev Day stuff that came a couple years later,
yeah.
which they did not take advantage of the way they should have, but
Right.
shit happens.
Yep.
All right, but moving on to our next part of the show, we had a segment involving Triple H and Stephanie McMahon where they announced the attendance record for WrestleMania, and then they went on to gloat about the fact that it was all because of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and pretty much we own everybody.
I gotta say,
And
it's not only like that 2013, 2014 period was not only peak Triple H and Stephanie as heels in a sense, it was peak Stephanie McMahon attractiveness too.
oh, she was
And
really attractive. Yeah.
oh man, she still looks good now. She still looks good now, but damn, like during that period when they were doing the authority stuff, oh my god,
Yeah.
that's another story.
So anyway, they're pretty much talking about how they own everybody, and then out comes The Rock.
And this segment would explain why Triple H beat Sting earlier in the show. They had him beat Sting earlier in the show because they knew he was doing this segment with The Rock and Ronda later, so
True.
they had to have him win so they could do that. But I still
Yeah.
don't agree with the decision regardless.
Yeah.
So then The Rock, talks trash to Triple H and Stephanie, and then The Rock makes a comment that Stephanie wouldn't be in power if it wasn't for Vince McMahon's Johnson.
Yeah.
I did like that other line where like he said that while The Rock left while The Rock left his heart in San Francisco, Triple H, you left your balls in Stamford, Connecticut.
For one,
Great.
before he even said all that, I loved how because The Rock was like challenging him to go at it one more time, just like they did back in the day. But funny when Triple H talks about how like, yeah, we had one hell of a run though, but yeah, I remember beating you through most of it, and I laughed so. I mean, he did had a point, but I did laugh though. He's like, I got nothing to prove to you. And he's like, he walked off. I thought it was just this funny stuff what he was saying, but it was true.
Including WrestleMania 2000.
Yeah. It was funny.
Yeah, but then Stephanie ends up slapping The Rock, and then she like starts
Yeah.
talking to The Rock, saying, "What you gonna do about it? You're not gonna
Get
do
out of my
anything."
ring.
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, get out." She's like, "Yeah, get out of my ring. See you, East Bay boy. Bye bye, bye bye." And The Rock, instead of leaving, he walks to the side of the ring of the front row where Ronda Rousey happens to be sitting.
Mm-hmm.
Then Ronda Rousey jumps the barricade, and her and The Rock get back into the ring. And The Rock says, "The Rock wouldn't hit a woman, but I do know somebody else who would be happy to."
Pretty much Triple H, talks about how like, hey, to be talking about my wife. It was the last time you talking about my wife. And The Rock's like, oh, I hear you. That was the last thing I'll say. And he goes on beating up Triple H just like he did back in the old days. And then Ronda Rousey does a arm takedown to Triple H.
And then Stephanie tries to slap Ronda Rousey, but then Ronda catches her arm and like puts her kind of like in somewhat of an arm lock. She like has her by the arm and has her like in her control, but then she
Yeah.
just like slaps her and throws, and then Stephanie leaves the ring. That
Wow.
was a bit of a letdown, though. I thought she was gonna do more to Stephanie, like
Yeah.
maybe a sign, but then yeah, just doing that was kind of not what I was hoping for.
True though, but regardless, though, you have to say that was a very interesting and memorable celebrity moment in the history of WrestleMania.
Oh, definitely. And it's so weird. Like you look back at 10 years ago at that WrestleMania with like all the aura and how popular Ronda Rousey was back then. And you
Yeah,
kind of see where she became like in that last WWE run.
yeah, and it's funny
Where
how
it's
like that takes
a
place, and then 3 years later, she'll make her debut in the WWE, and then she'll be involved in that mixed tag match with Kurt Angle against the same two people who she confronted, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon.
I love Kurt Angle. He's great, but honestly, I wish it had been The Rock in that spot. And I wish they had done that match sooner. I wish they'd done that match a lot sooner than they did. I think they were supposed to do something with Rock and Triple H the following year at WrestleMania, but it didn't work
Hmm.
out.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, like from this segment, you like thought you were gonna get like a mixed tag at some point, but then they never really got to do it. Like the
Took
closest they
3 years to do that. Crazy.
yeah, the closest they got to it though was with Angle instead of Rock. I mean, it was still a great match. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
yeah, like you really got the vibe you were gonna get that mixed tag. But regardless, still a fun segment. Definitely one of the highlights of the show.
definitely.
Went on long as fuck though.
Oh, I mean, I don't blame them because like I kind of wanted them at this point. I was kind of waiting for them. The sun needs to go down at this point. Like, can it get dark a little bit because it was sunny throughout the whole event, Kurt.
I know, I was there, and
I know.
then
Do you had a hat on that day, or
I
any
didn't have a hat
sunglasses
on.
on
No, I
that
did
day,
not.
or anything to keep you cool?
By this point in the show, I was fine. Wasn't a big
Oh,
deal.
okay.
But then we had the return of The Undertaker for the first time since the streak ended at WrestleMania the year before
Yes.
against, in many people's opinions, his successor, Bray Wyatt.
And look, I know we didn't get Undertaker versus Sting as we all hoped, though, but I was still intrigued by this match, though, because of the styles between these two. You have a character like the Undertaker and a very unique character of Bray Wyatt. And I thought it was very unique that these two were coming together, and I liked it.
Yeah, I like their entrances. And you know what's funny
Oh,
about this feud? You know what's funny about this feud? Bray Wyatt had to carry this whole feud pretty much in the weeks leading up to it.
oh, of course he did because he's the one who called out the Undertaker, right? And the only thing the Undertaker did was pretty much that it voiceover and then has him, the thunder hitting the rocking chair. That was pretty much it. But yeah, it was you are right about that. It was Bray Wyatt who was carrying the whole storyline going into this match. And an interesting fact about this match, Bray Wyatt was hurt throughout this whole match. So
Yeah, he sprained his ankle like the day of
during
the show.
yeah, during rehearsals, and he had his brace off, and he was in a lot of pain. And I didn't know this. I just found this out yesterday when I was doing my
I knew that
research.
the day of the show. I knew that the day of the show that
Really?
happened.
Oh
I
wow.
heard about it the day of the show. I keep up with this shit. Maybe not as much as I should probably not keep up with it as much, but hey, I have my sources.
But yeah, though I applaud Bray Wyatt for just willing to you know
Got it out. Yeah,
gut it
definitely.
out. Yeah,
Yeah, and
my
he was still great as a character at this point, but the one thing that was missing from him that I wish they hadn't done was break up him from the Wyatt family.
also that,
I
and
didn't
I
see that.
also that, and I just wish that they could have like pushed him a little bit more harder into like a championship run during that time.
Yes, and maybe had Brock Lesnar not broken the streak the year before, maybe he
Mm.
could have been the one to break the streak this year.
Mm.
Yeah, because The Undertaker always says that he would have preferred to have the streak end at the hands of somebody else who could have benefited more from it. And for the comparisons they make between Undertaker and Bray Wyatt, who would have been better to benefit from it.
True.
But they still had a good match here. Undertaker looked a lot better here than he did at
Oh
WrestleMania the
yeah,
year before.
and that's the one thing I want to get into because I was very concerned. As much as I was excited for this match, I was very concerned because we saw what happened last year.
Yeah.
And Undertaker has some health issues though, but when you saw Undertaker now, he looked completely different. He looked more in shape. He just looked more himself. And also, how was he going to be able to perform in this match? I mean, was he going to be off his game? And really wasn't. Didn't really miss a beat in this match.
And this match was good, and the highlight of this match, honestly, was when Bray Wyatt was doing like that spider walk that he always does, and then the
Yeah,
Undertaker sit up.
yeah, love that. Love the whole sequence. Loved it. Loved it.
And ultimately, the Undertaker won after hitting two tombstones onto Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt kicked out of the first one, but the second one was enough to get the job done, and the Undertaker was back.
Back. Good.
And,
Redeem himself from last year's loss.
and look, it was great to see him back and all that, but I'll be honest, from this point on, like after the streak ended, his matches at WrestleMania just didn't have that same feeling.
It didn't because you
Yeah.
go to the following year, they had that just the weirdest of all the Undertaker matches, including his one with Giant Gonzalez.
Oh
His
God.
match
Guess which
against
was
Shane
picked?
McMahon in Hell in a Cell was by far was just like the most odd thing that they ever did, booking that they ever did. It
No,
made no sense.
it was great to see Shane back, but yeah, this is a very odd match, and the only highlight
Yeah.
of it was Shane jumping off of the cell.
I didn't just see what's the whole point of the match. Also, a Hell in a Cell match. I thought I was just like, what are they doing?
Put it this way: when I go back and watch parts of that WrestleMania, I do not go back to watch that match. I do watch Shane McMahon's entrance though.
Oh yeah, with his kids. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was great to see the Undertaker back. But like I said, like yeah, it just didn't feel the same with his WrestleMania matches from this point on.
Yeah. That is true.
Bray Wyatt got to work with The Undertaker at WrestleMania. That's one of the things he could say he got to do in his career. Well,
Yeah.
obviously, you can't say it anymore because he's passed away, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely a career highlight for him.
Yeah. And when I look back at that Bray Wyatt character, dude, that's my favorite version of Bray Wyatt. That mysterious character and also the theme song. I love the theme
Oh,
song.
yeah, that theme song slapped.
I
And that
love.
and that's why I liked the Wyatt so much. Like when they first debuted them, was that they kind of felt like characters in a way that other people on the show didn't feel like characters at the time. Because
Yeah.
like when you watch wrestling, when you watch WWE, you want to see people on the show where if you saw them in the street, you'd like look twice at them and say, "Yo, who the fuck are those people?" And that's
Yeah.
exactly the vibe you got from Bray Wyatt and the rest of the crew.
Exactly. Like the Undertaker. You look at that character and you're kind of like, whoa, you know?
Yeah, but gone too soon. But at least he got to say. But at least he got to do a match at WrestleMania with Undertaker. And hell, he got to do a segment with The Rock and John Cena the next year.
Yeah, that is true.
And then we had our main events.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm gonna tell you something. The vibe, as far as the crowd that I was getting from this match, it
Yep.
really reminded me of John Cena versus Triple H at WrestleMania 22 because
I
the hype and just the crowd, just like you had the crowd cheering for the heel over the babyface.
Yeah, it was definitely more pro Brock Lesnar in that crowd. Definitely from being there. Yeah, the crowd. I can definitely tell you from just hearing everyone and hearing everybody talk throughout that night, they were not feeling Roman Reigns,
Oh
and it was to the point.
no!
It was to the point where I felt bad for him because I'm like, yo, he's great at what he does. He's talented, but it's just the presentation of him is
He just
shit.
pushed. He just pushed too fast.
Yeah, I just like I dreaded his entrance like when he came out because I'm like, yo, they're gonna let him have it, and I'm like, yo, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. But I just felt really bad for him at the time because I'm like, yo, it's not him. It's the people who are making him do this bullshit.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was watching at WrestleMania, and it's like I was a completely different Roman Reigns
Yeah.
what we see now.
Oh my
Oh my
god.
god, it's
Night
so
and day.
crazy how it kind of makes me not just cringe just a little bit because it's like, damn, that was Roman Reigns back then. And you look at him now, how he carries himself now, and you look back at Roman Reigns, 10 years ago, it was like, wow.
That was
Oh,
during the Suffering Succotash. That was like when you do, Suffering Succotash promos.
wow.
Yeah, it was awful. Yeah, that presentation of Roman Reigns was awful. But it's actually marked the last time he would come through the crowd at the WrestleMania.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that he stuck with that entrance. I
That was
was
another
like,
thing. That was another thing that was wrong with Roman. Like after they split up the Shield, is that like Rollins and Ambrose kind of like adopted their own style. They had like
yeah,
different music, different gear, all
yeah,
that good stuff. But Roman just kept all the Shield stuff. He still dressed as if he was in the Shield. Came
yeah,
out through the crowd, had the same music like he was in the Shield. So
yep.
yeah, there was like nothing about him that made him different.
Yeah, man. And he still kept the same theme song when he did the tribal chief thing just for a year, and then about a couple months later, then they finally changed it to the theme song that he has now that I truly love. Though. But yeah, rest is history. But yeah, I completely different Roman Reigns.
And for as anti-Roman Reigns as this crowd was very pro Brock Lesnar. Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah, they were
but
hot for Brock Lesnar. They went ape shit when he came
but
out.
regardless, though, that crowd. I mean, I wasn't there though, but you were there. But that crowd was white hot.
For that match, yes, this was the most hot and the most intrigued the audience was for the entire show. They
Yeah,
were like the Sting and Triple H match they were into. But this match specifically, this is the match where they were the most amped up. Because I told you like a little while ago that they had Brock Lesnar re-sign with the company the week before because his contract was supposed to expire like at this WrestleMania. So him resigning kind of created a different dynamic where like who knows, maybe he'll retain after all. Anything's possible. And
yeah.
also the fact that Roman was being so rejected by the audience at the time, you're like, if Roman wins the title here, it's not gonna get really a good reaction.
Yeah. Interesting fact about this match. So this match was supposed to go 10 minutes longer.
Oh shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
but that Rockin' Ronda Rousey Triple H segment ran so long that it probably cut time from both the last two
that's
matches.
true. That's very true. Um, yeah, man. When this match started, like I said, it was giving me vibes of John Cena versus Triple H as far as like the crowd vibes. Um, of course, in any typical Brock Lesnar match that we see during that time, during his second run, as always, Brock Lesnar is dominating the match, always doing suplex after suplex. This is where the suplex city bitch term came from that match.
Yeah, that's exactly the first time he used it. I remember I saw a video online a few days later where instead of
Yeah,
doing that Rack City bitch song, they did a remix with Suplex City.
yeah.
Suplex
Um,
City. Suplex
crazy.
City, bitch.
Yeah, no matter how many times Roman Reigns tried to mount offense, Lesnar will keep coming back. But the turning point of the match will happen outside the ring when Roman Reigns shoves Brock Lesnar onto the steel pole, and Brock Lesnar is busted open.
Yep. Roman definitely took a beating like I had never seen him take a
And he
beating
was
throughout.
even laughing. He was laughing too. He was
Yo,
smiling during the match as he's getting beat up.
I cringed so hard at that one spot where like Brock caught his leg on the apron and then just
Oh,
clotheslined him in the.
oh yeah. Even the crowd felt. Oof.
Yeah, he took a beating in this match. Like I said, I
Yeah,
really felt for him like throughout this whole scenario.
yeah.
But he hung in there. He turned the tide and like knocked Brock into the post. Then he hit Brock with like multiple Superman punches.
Lesnar
And
almost got counted out.
they're not gonna do a countdown in the main event
I
of
know, but
WrestleMania.
I'm just saying though, like the ref was literally at a nine count, and Lesnar's still all dazed and confused, and he gets into the ring at the last second. So just a funny point to point out though. But
Yeah, but when Roman rebounded though, when Roman started hitting those Superman punches, the crowd was really amped up. I mean, there
yeah,
was kind of mixed, but like if people were like really on the edge of
yeah.
their like, yo, is he actually gonna win?
Exactly. Like I said, I was literally getting WrestleMania 22 vibes from this match, and that's one of the things I loved about this match. And also another little, I thought of like what I thought I liked. So whenever I'm watching WrestleMania, I like the what's the word? The pageantry of it. I love the design, the whole lighting. Once it finally got dark, you finally got to see the lighting. It's dark. I love the lighting where it's all red, the red lighting across the stadium. I love that. I was like, finally it got dark. So it was just an interesting thing I wanted to point out that I liked.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you definitely like felt a different vibe when it got darker towards the end of the show in this
Yeah,
match. And yeah, people were like really, on the edge of their seat in those last few minutes. And then Roman hits a spear, but then Brock kicks out, and then Brock ends up hitting another F5, which is actually the fourth F5 hit in this whole match.
yeah.
But he's too tired and too beat up to cover him. And as they're both down, Seth Rollins' music hits.
Yes. And
Oh my
that camera angle, I'll never forget that camera angle of him running down the ramp and the camera's behind him and showing him running down the ramp. And then the crowd goes crazy.
Yep.
And he decides to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. And the match is now a triple threat match for the title.
Yeah, and then Rollins kicks Roman out of the ring. He hits Brock with a curb stomp. Then he tries to go for another curb stomp, and then Brock catches him for an F5. And then Roman spears Brock, but then Rollins hits Roman with his own curb stomp and then gets the pin on Roman. And Seth Rollins becomes the first person to cash in the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania and wins the WWE title. And he hauls ass right afterwards.
Coin the heist of the century, and it was the heist of the century because something like this has never been done at WrestleMania before. We look
Hell
at
no.
we look at the past Money in the Bank winners, whether if you're a man or woman, usually they'll cash it in at a different event, either like Raw or SmackDown or any other different pay per view, but never has this been done at a WrestleMania. It's called the heist of the century, Kurt, because the magnitude of the match, and you never expected this to happen.
Yeah, for not really expecting much of this match going into WrestleMania that year. The match itself was great, and then the cash in at the end was just out of nowhere and a huge surprise.
And the fact that you look at who's involved in the match, you got to remember Brock Lesnar is the champion in this match, so you never would think that. I mean, he's never going to drop the title, but you got to remember Lesnar wasn't even pinned. Lesnar
That was
wasn't
the
even
thing.
pinned.
And that's why they were so brilliant the way they pulled this off. This established that instead of giving Roman the title when the fans are rejecting him and the fans aren't really feeling him, this allowed somebody else to be the champion, and Rollins, that being a heel at the time, without without pinning Brock. So Brock is protected in that sense. And where people kind of like feel bad for Roman because somebody else interfered in his match and cost him the
Yeah,
championship, which was definitely felt by his family at ringside because I heard his dad Sika wild out at the outcome of this match. He was
yeah, he
not,
was, and yeah, and
not
this is the
happy.
last. This was like a last minute decision when they decided that Rollins was
Yeah.
going to win, and also this was the first time, to my knowledge, pretty much like the first time in what 15 years that we had a heel win at the end of the event.
Yep. First time since Triple H in 2000. Well,
Yeah.
technically, you could say Austin at the end of WrestleMania 17.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah. But
But yeah, this was very well done. This will definitely go down as one of the best cash-ins ever. Also, one of the best endings to WrestleMania ever. One of the
yeah,
best main events to WrestleMania
could
ever.
say one of the most shocking endings of WrestleMania
Oh,
as
hands
well.
down. And yeah, just Rollins getting to have that moment at the end of WrestleMania, closing it as the champion. Yeah, I mean, he's had great moments in his career since then, but I don't think anything since then has topped that.
No, without a doubt. And Kurt, I want to take you back at that moment when Rollins when they hit the three count. I could see the crowd going wild though, but take me back with being there after he
Yeah,
won.
yeah, it was bananas up in that stadium, man. I remember it was hot and everybody lost their mind when The Rock won at the end of WrestleMania 28 when I was there for that. But
Mhm.
this was every bit as crazy, if not crazier. Yeah,
Wow.
everybody, yeah, just didn't see it coming. And after like that match was like, so explosive and had you so amped up for it to end that way with that kind of a shocking ending. Yeah, you were like, holy shit, this is one of the best wrestling shows I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Crazy how that whole event with a not a good build up, but just completely just pulled the wool over our eyes and gave us one of the best WrestleManias ever. And I think this is WrestleMania 31 is pretty much like one of my favorite modern day WrestleManias.
Yeah, it's definitely it's kind of top five, but if not top five, definitely top 10.
Hmm.
Which is
All right.
funny. I'm doing another episode of the show for Wade Keller for PW Torch, and tomorrow's show we're going to be ranking our top five favorite WrestleManias.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and last week we did our favorite WrestleMania endings, and this is my number four pick.
Really?
Yeah, my number four pick.
Yeah, I just can't believe it's been 10 years. Well, in a couple of days will be the 10-year anniversary, man, and um it's just it's remembered. Whoever thinks Seth Rollins loses, early that day, and you wouldn't even think about seeing him again, and we did.
He kind of pulled like a Bret Hart in '94, only with Bret Hart it was a scheduled match, and then in this
Yeah,
scenario, yeah, it was out of nowhere.
yeah,
Yeah, but it were all worked out because of the sense that Rollins was now the champion, and like they could have kind of centered the show around him for a while Roman kind of still has some time to kind of win over the fans and build more momentum, which
yeah,
kind of worked but didn't work. And
yeah.
it's so crazy out of all these years, and especially after going back to watch that WrestleMania yesterday, it just boggles my mind that they're not going to do like a Roman and Rollins singles match at WrestleMania this year.
That's honestly what I wanted for this year, because when I saw the interaction between those two at the Royal Rumble a couple months ago, I already was like, you have to do a match. This is perfect.
They have so much history, yeah, just and it goes back to like 10 years ago. Yeah, and they still haven't like done like a proper singles match to like really settle their
And
feud,
and this is all about Roman never getting over the betrayal from Seth Rollins, man.
which cost them the title at WrestleMania last year.
Yes.
Yeah, it's strange, but I mean the triple threat I'm sure will still be great. It'll still have its appeal. But yeah, not doing Roman and Seth at WrestleMania yet. Yeah, that's kind of
It's it,
a
it's a bummer. It's a bummer, and I'm hoping what what they're gonna bring out of this contract signing this upcoming Friday, because you have to deal with stipulation. You have to,
maybe they'll
So
get some baked goods for Punk because he likes those donuts and those
oh,
muffins.
he does, he does, he does.
Yeah, but yeah, this is an incredible WrestleMania, incredible ending, and it did kind of suck that it took us 2 hours to get out of that place afterwards, but it was
Oh,
worth it.
I bet. Yeah, I mean, I kind of had the same feeling when it was for WrestleMania 39 a couple years ago. For me,
But
it
we
was kind
just,
of it
but we
took me.
just couldn't find our car. That was the biggest reason why. But still,
Oh, right. Um, out of 10, where would you rank this WrestleMania?
9. Yeah, about 9.
9.
Yeah, and San Francisco is a great city, even though it was technically in Santa Clara, which was an hour outside of where I was staying in San Francisco.
Mhm.
Yes, San Francisco is a beautiful city, man. One of the
Which
best
one
cities
is
I've
closer? Which one is closer though, San Jose or San Francisco? Because remember, they had the Hall of Fame ceremony in San Jose,
probably San Jose. Yeah, San Jose is probably
and
closer.
Raw was in San Jose the next night.
Yeah, it was. But it is what it was. I was actually closer to Oakland when I was there for that trip.
Oh,
I actually tried to take the train to get to that WrestleMania before my cousin came into town and I rode with him. I
yeah.
rode through the train and actually passed by the old Raiders Stadium.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Put it this way, the stadium and also the neighborhood the stadium is in is a much better look and a much bigger upgrade compared to where it was before.
Really?
Yeah, their stadium in Oakland is like in the middle of the hood, and that stadium's like old and
Yeah.
broken down. Yeah, that
That's
place
why
is not.
the Raiders moved to Vegas, and that's why the Oakland A's moved.
Yeah, and the Warriors too. The Warriors don't play in Oakland either anymore.
Yeah, their arena, Oracle Arena, is literally right across from the stadium, and then they eventually moved to San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That those parts of Oakland I saw in that train ride, yeah, they were not pretty.
Ooh.
It is what it is, but yeah, San Francisco is definitely a beautiful city. The Golden Gate Bridge area where all the water is and all that is really dope to look at. Also, like just
Interesting.
the whole. But damn, a lot of hills, bro. A lot of hills.
Oh, I bet. I bet. I bet.
But a lot of great vegan food, and unfortunately, one thing I didn't notice when I was there, a lot of homeless people.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Well,
every corner. Yeah, you'll literally be on one block and you'll be like around like regular people, and then you'll walk over to one block and you'll be surrounded by homeless people.
wow.
Yeah, really weird.
Hmm. So it's we're still in the WrestleMania season because I feel like we need to do and we're going to be talking about another WrestleMania next month. Think it would be appropriate that yeah we went back to 10 years ago. I feel like next month we'll be going back another 10 years. We'll be going back 20 years because I think we should
Oh
review
shit.
WrestleMania 21.
Nice. That's a good idea. That was the year I graduated high school too.
Yeah,
Oh yes. A lot of good
just
memories of this WrestleMania.
2005 was a hot year in WWE. That was the beginning of a new era for that WrestleMania because you were crowning your new faces of the company, John Cena and Batista. And yeah, it's a very memorable WrestleMania, one of my favorites. And yeah, I can't wait to review that for next month.
Me either. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
Yeah,
WrestleMania 21 is definitely a
I
classic.
cannot believe it's been 20 years.
I will say the 2000s were probably the best decade for WrestleManias.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt.
Although this decade is building up a good case so far,
Oh, it
the
is. Oh, of
by far
course.
the
You know, it's funny because whenever I do like a WrestleMania marathon, I'm always watching the ones from the ones that I grew up on, like the 2000s and 90s and all that stuff. And, maybe like a couple from the 80s. But I never really like watch any like, more up to date, the modern ones. You know what I mean? So I think I want to rewatch 37. I always have
37 was good. Yeah, 37 was good.
always had like a very hard soft spot for 37. I want to rewatch 38 and also 39, of course. So yeah, I want to rewatch like more like the modern ones, like the more recent, recent ones from a couple years ago. Because look, the past couple of WrestleManias they've been really decent, very good.
They've been very good. Yeah, the last four were either
Yeah.
good or great. And yeah, they definitely made up for like some of those crappy ones we were getting for a few years, like
Oh
32.
God, like those late 2010 ones were just like my God.
Yeah. The
Oh
2010s in general were shit for WWE.
jeez, 32, 33 was way too long. I thought I was about to pass out. 34 was that one where I'm like, damn it, if they would have did 2 nights, it could have been a good event. 35 was like, oh God.
You know,
36, COVID year. Oh,
yeah, but I was actually watching this list ranking the 10 worst WrestleManias. You know which WrestleMania they ranked as number one?
That's worse.
Yeah,
Worst WrestleMania.
yeah.
9,
Nope. Number
11.
nine. No, it was on. They were both on the list, but those were not the worst ones.
No.
Nope.
36.
No. 36 kind of gets a pass because their hands were tied, so that wasn't
Okay.
on the list.
Oh, okay. So if it's not 9, if it's not 11, damn.
I'll give you a hint.
32.
No, that was on the list. I'll give you a hint. The anniversary of
Oh,
that WrestleMania is actually today.
wait a minute. What's today? Today's the 27th?
Yes, and I just mentioned that a specific event happened on that day, the first Clash of Champions that went opposed to another event.
No. March 27th. No, no, no. No. Wait.
And it's taking you a minute.
What WrestleMania is on the 27th?
There was only one WrestleMania on March 27th ever, and that was the one that was ranked number one on this list.
Damn.
I'll give you another hint.
4?
Yes, four.
What? That
Yeah,
was number one?
yep,
The whole 4.
yeah. It wasn't
I
good.
would rather watch 4 over 9 and see Savage go through the gauntlet of becoming champion. I cannot watch WrestleMania 9. I can't
Look,
watch I oh
I'll admit WrestleMania 4 is not good. The only really good part of that whole show is really Savage winning the title at the end. But I would have put another WrestleMania as the worst over that one. Like two, I would have ranked probably two as worse than four. And also 27, I would have ranked worse than four too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about 27.
Yeah, 27 was god awful, son. Oh my
The only good thing about that event was Triple H and Taker and CM Punk and Orton.
Yep. I wasn't even watching at the time, but
Me
because yeah,
neither.
I wasn't watching at the time.
I knew The Rock was hosting, but I still wasn't intrigued of watching it.
Yeah, it was so trash. But yeah,
Wow.
27 was bad. Two was bad. Four wasn't great. Even five sucked except for the main event.
Mm. I
Yeah,
felt like
those Trump.
five just dragged. It
I mean, four
completely
dragged too.
dragged, and
Four also
it
dragged.
yeah, five just completely dragged to the point where I was like, just please get to the main event already. Like,
Yep. The first time I watched that WrestleMania when I was a kid, I felt the same way. I'm like, when's the Hogan and Savage match gonna happen? Never to
right,
get to it.
drag, but then six. I'm like, oh, I could watch six.
Yeah, six, seven, and eight are good. Six, seven, and eight have their own appeal to it.
Yeah,
But then
I
nine,
feel
oh god, 9 and 11 are garbage. Also, 13 sucks too. Also, 13's not that good.
I felt like 11. They did an overhaul of celebrities. I was like, my God, like how many celebrities you need for this event?
Yes,
Jesus, my God, everywhere I turned, there was a celebrity. Look, except Jonathan Taylor Thomas, I like him. That was okay. But
I was so
and Salt and Pepper, huh?
also Pam, also Pamela Anderson. It was cool to see her
Pam
too.
Anderson too, though. But I just felt like everywhere was just like, my God, it was like celebrities here and there, left. I was like, whoa, whoa,
Yeah, Jenny McCarthy was there. Nick Totoro was there.
yeah.
Freaking the
Let's
All
not
Pro
forget
team
Lawrence
for
Taylor.
Lawrence
I
Taylor
love
was there.
Lawrence
Also
Taylor's
Lawrence
involvement
Taylor.
now. I won't deny that.
Lawrence Taylor. How could we forget him? But
Yeah.
it was so funny when Jonathan Taylor Thomas beat Bob Backlund in chess, and like Bob Backlund had a meltdown over it.
I think the fact what made it even worse was the location too, though.
Oh God, yeah, that was the first WrestleMania. Believe it or not, that I actually watched live on pay per view the night it aired. It
In
wasn't a good
Hartford,
show.
Connecticut.
Look, it wasn't a good show, but it was at least fun. Like for that night because I had like people over. It was a good time. But
Yeah.
damn, that WrestleMania sucks.
Of all places, Hartford, Connecticut.
It's their home base.
I
And yeah,
don't care.
also 13 was trash. 15 also wasn't good. And who
I
could
could
forget?
sit through 15.
Yeah, because the product was good at the time. That's kind of what makes up for it. Those shows sucked, but at least the product at the
I
time
mean,
was hot.
I could sit through 15, just like no problem. I think Jerry King Lawler's and Nicole's commentary was pretty funny though, but I could sit through 15. 16, I was like, oh,
Yeah, that one was bad. For as great as that year was for them, that was like one of their worst WrestleManias.
God, it's so funny. Those WrestleManias during the Attitude Era was like just they weren't hitting except for 17. 14 was like,
14 was okay. 14 wasn't bad, but it wasn't a classic.
yeah. And then I mean, my personal opinion, I could sit through 15 and 16 was just like, oh my God. I was like, okay, the triangle ladder match, I was like, okay, but like every other match was just like, eh,
Yeah,
eh.
the only singles match in that whole show was the Cat and Terry.
Yeah, and then you're just kind of just like, all right, just give me to the main event, and you're like the ending. You're just like, whoa, Triple H won, what? And it, like, what?
Yeah.
You know?
But then from 17 on, they were really good. Like from
Oh,
17,
hit after
18,
hit after
19.
hit after hit.
Yeah,
Those are
but
box office numbers, boy. Child.
yeah, from
Oh,
2001 to 2008,
memories.
WrestleMania. Yeah, from 2001 to 2008, WrestleMania had a great run.
Hell yeah, hit after hit. Except
Yeah,
like 23 was a little bit was like
I feel the same way about. I feel the same way about 18.
what it was just like to you it was just
Yeah, it was cool. Like it's not. I'm not calling it a bad show, but I wouldn't call it a great WrestleMania by any
I
stretch.
like that one because like that's kind of like for nostalgia's purposes
I
because I was
get
like
it. I understand.
that was kind of like the very first one that I saw live on pay per view. So it just like that was like oh you're
Yeah, I get it.
first, you know what I mean? So, but 23 was just kind of like
It was good. I thought it was good. I thought that Money
you
in the
know
Bank match was great. The
yeah
Benoit and Anthony
decent
match was solid. The Undertaker and
decent
Batista was incredible.
loved it.
Cena match was great. Also, the Battle of the Billionaires was fun.
The story, the build up for that was just unbelievable. You cannot
Yeah, it
deny that.
was.
You cannot deny the build up was just out of the world because everybody was talking about it. Donald Trump even showed up on Raw on a couple of occasions. Was just like, wow, he's really dedicated to this. Come on now, like,
But looking back at it now, you kind of wish he had gotten his head shaved instead.
well, at least he got stunnered.
Very shitty stunner at that. I wish Umaga had hit him with the Samoan spike.
And
All right,
then, yeah, I think we're getting short on time though. But yeah, yes, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, we're still on the road to WrestleMania. It's been great going back 10 years ago, talking about WrestleMania 31. And yeah, next month we'll talk about WrestleMania 21 from 2005. But yes, follow us on our social media, ladies and gentlemen, on Twitter or X, as some people call it. Follow us on that. Follow us on Instagram. Follow our episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and our speaker podcast apps, and give us a rating, give us reviews on what you think of it, and we'll keep you up to date with all the wrestling news you need to hear.
yes, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have
Yes,
video versions of the show, also short clips, audio versions of the show, etc., among other content that's still to come. Also, follow us on our separate social media sites, whether it's Instagram, Facebook. We'd love to chop it up with you about this wrestling world in any way possible, as long as it stays peaceful. And
yes.
also check me out on the PW Torch website. I do co-host for the Raw review occasionally and also write weekly reviews for Raw every week. Check that out as well. I will be also hosting with Christopher Adams tomorrow for the Acknowledging WWE portion of PW Torch, our 5 favorite WrestleMania shows. And currently, we've done shows about our favorite WrestleMania builds, matches for WrestleMania that should have happened that didn't. And last week we did our favorite WrestleMania endings. So look out for those episodes, and also the most recent episode we're going to drop tomorrow. We're going to do tomorrow. And until next time, for John Randall, this is Contras Kurt with another edition of Clash of Champions. Take care. Have a good weekend. Happy birthday to me this Monday. And
Oh yeah,
remember, thank you.
happy birthday.
Thank you. And remember, don't be an asshole in real life or social media, because that toxic bullshit is for the birds.
And ladies and gentlemen, always stay safe, stay blessed, and always stay adventurous. And to my baseball fans, happy opening day. Whoever's your team is a great day for be a baseball fan, and go Padres.
Have a good one. Can't say it any better than that.